Chapter 181. The Battle Between the Leaders. Staring at Uchiha Chen, who was galloping towards him, Tiandao Pain moved his feet to the other side with double taps, temporarily opened the distance from Chen, and regained his footing. Even he had to the opponent's attack method was shriveled, and the attacks were almost interlocked, and the distance just opened was instantly posted by Chen. Chen dragged the streaming star meteorite blade with his right hand, his left hand was placed on his chest, and a blue-white thunder attribute chakra suddenly jumped between his palms, and then moved the palm full of arcs to his right shoulder, and flicked it with his hand. A ferocious and vicious dog composed of thunder and lightning, rushing towards Tiandao Pain. It was Kakashi's thunder tiger killing, and Chen, who was dragging the meteorite knife, suddenly took a stride when the thunder dog let go. Slightly bent down and slashed towards Tiandao Pain. Chen Luo Tianzheng. Pain was not in a hurry at the moment, raised his right hand indifferently and said 4 words. Chen first saw that the thunder dog that he had just let go of had vanished in an instant, and then he felt a strong repulsive force rushing straight towards the door. Chen wanted to dodge, but it was already half a step too late, and Chen, who had no time to withdraw the knife, had to block his hands in front of him and eat a wave. After Chen personally experienced the impact of Shen Luo Tianzheng, he couldn't help being secretly shocked. The magic skill that can destroy Konoha village with one blow in the original book really cannot be taken lightly. I saw Chen, who resisted Shen Luo Tianzheng with his physical body at close range, and was instantly sent out by a devastating repulsion bullet. Tiandao Pain didn't wait for Chen to land, raised his right hand, stepped forward, took a lunge, and threw the iron pestle in his hand towards Chen Uchiha in the air. And at this moment, Chen, who was slumped due to carelessness, had not had time to be sad, but heard a sound of breaking wind coming towards him from behind. At this moment, Chen Gang was thinking of blocking with the streaming star meteorite knife, but hurriedly backhanded and retracted his waist. A set of handprints was instantly completed by Chen, and he turned around in midair, looking down at Tiandao Pain. Fire shield, the art of fireball. Immediately, the temperature around him suddenly rose. Although the arrogant fireball technique that Chen performed at this time was still AC rank ninjutsu, it was completely different from the original one. I saw the iron pestle flying in the face was instantly turned into a plume of blue smoke by the sudden high temperature and dissipated in the air. However, the fire that suddenly erupted did not weaken, and continued to swept away along the Tiandao Pain facing Uchiha Chen. Tiandao Pain was a little dumbfounded at the moment. How is it possible? So close to directly using the body to bear Shen Luo Tianzheng, how can he still perform ninjutsu in time? But at this moment, he couldn't allow him to think too much. It can be said that there is an overwhelming fire cloud in front of him. The scorching high temperature filled his sight, and before the fire cloud approached, the high temperature already made him look a little embarrassed. If the fire really stuck, it would be absolutely unimaginable. Tiandao Pain immediately reached out to the ground in front of him, Vientian Tianian. I saw that the ground not far from Tiandao Pain was instantly covered with cracks, and then a rock layer about 5 meters wide and 10 meters high rose up with the soil on its surface, hiding Tiandao Pain behind it. Just for Tiandao Pain to block the fire cloud ahead. Seeing that the troubles in front of him were resolved, Tiandao Pain was also secretly relieved. When he was just about to withdraw from the rock formation and make deployment, he was surprised to find that the rock formation had undergone slight changes, and there was a slight cracking sound from the rock formation. And then in Pain's surprised eyes, the rock wall made by Vientian Tianian collapsed with a loud bang, raising a cloud of dust. Seeing this, Tiandao Pain did not relax his vigilance. He knew that Chen's attack could not be so simple, and his eyes were fixed on the yellow sand in front of him, not daring to relax. Sure enough, at the moment when the rock wall collapsed, a harsh sound rang out, and at the same time, a dazzling light flickered in the dust, which was moving at the speed of lightning and flint, accompanied by a whistling sound, towards the unsuspecting peer. N came flying. After the ray of light broke out of the smoke and dust, Tiandao Pain finally saw the true face of the ray of light. It seemed to be a huge shuriken condensed by the wind attribute chakra, but Pain learned from this ninjutsu. I felt an unprecedented sense of crisis, and even a word flashed in my mind. if I couldn't escape, I would definitely die. Oops. Tiandao Pain secretly said that it was not good, and it was too late to dodge, because the speed of the shuriken was too fast, and it was close to the eyes in the blink of an eye. But Tiandao Pain is not a simple character. Just at the critical moment, I saw a powerful impact on Pain's body again. At the moment when the shuriken was about to touch his body, he directly dissipate the shock. Finally recovered. Seeing that the crisis was lifted, Tiandao Pain was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. It was Shinra Tianzheng, one of Tiandao Pain's 3 magic skills that was shattered by the spiral Maru Shuriken just now. After each use of Shinra Tianzheng, Tiandao Pain will have a 5-second blank period, using some terms from Chen's previous life. In other words, it's a CD. That is to say, the divine skill of Shinra Tianzheng is not without restrictions. It can only be used again after a 5-second CD, and just at the moment when the spiral pill shuriken was about to hit Pain, Shinra Tianzheng the CD has just ended, so Pain immediately cast it out, blocking the fatal blow. However, just as Pain breathed a sigh of relief, before he had time to do anything, a specially made shuriken struck him instantly. Pain snorted coldly and waved the black iron rod in his hand. The sword was shot down, and before he had time to ridicule Chen, he saw a flower in front of him, and Uchiha Chen's figure appeared out of thin air in front of him without warning, while holding a spiral pill. Nani! In the exclamation of Tiandao, Quan Nai had already attacked the spiral pill in his hand to Pain's chest. In this zero-distance situation, Pain could not avoid it and could only watch the blue spiral along with Uchiha Chen's sneer. The pill was printed on his chest. P.S. Chapter 182, Pain's Escape. This all happened so fast that even Tiandao Pain didn't react. It was just a breather when Uchiha Chen's attack came, and Pain, who was caught off guard, could only watch Uchiha Chen helplessly. The spiral pill in his hand was printed on his body. Uchiha Chen. Tiandao Pain roared, but he couldn't let him escape the established fact. The high-speed rotating spiral pill was printed on his chest, and the violent chakra smashed Pain's uniform in an instant, followed by Pain's the muscles are severely twisted, forming a spiral shape. Humph! Get out of here! Chen grinned, snorted coldly, then exerted his strength, and suddenly knocked Pain out. Pain, who flew out upside down, finally stopped after smashing through several houses, but at this time Pain seemed to be dying. At the same time, in a place not far from Yinan village, there was a man with long red hair, as thin as a material, and a black iron rod stuck in the back of his body. Xiaonan, who had left Shinobu village, was at this moment when the red-haired man suddenly opened his eyes and coughed violently. Nagato, are you all right? Xiaonan was startled and asked with concern after seeing the red-haired man. There is no doubt that this man is exactly Pain's true body, the Vortex Nagato with the Eye of Reincarnation. Tiandao Pain, was knocked down. After a violent cough, Nagato was relieved a little, but his voice sounded weak, and it seemed that he had suffered a lot of damage. What? Pain was actually defeated. Is it Uchiha Chen? Unbelievable. In Xiaonan's cognition, Pain has never failed. No matter how difficult the task of the previous Xiao organization, as long as Pain if you go out in person, then all the problems will be solved easily. Now Pain's words have broken Xiaonan's cognition. Uchiha Chen, I didn't expect that. I still underestimated you. Let you live for 2 more days and prepare for a more violent trial. Xiaonan, let's go. Pain knew that the purpose of this trip had failed now. Staying here can't change the facts, so I will go back to the base first, wait until the strength is restored, then call the other Pain, and then come back to the shame of today's failure. I see. Xiaonan didn't say anything else, and the two of them left Tianzhiguo and returned to Yuran village. On the other side, after Chen Zai knocked Tiandao Pain into the air, he wanted to check Tiandao Pain's condition, but when he came to the place where Tiandao Pain fell, he found that Tiandao Pain had already disappeared without a trace. Seeing such a result, Chen couldn't help but feel unhappy. After fighting for a long time, not only did it cost him a lot of energy, but even the village of Sound Ninja was affected by the battle, and the losses were not light, but in the end, pain was still not solved. Humph. Was it transferred by spiritism? This should be the ability of the animal way. But after this battle, Pain no longer dared to underestimate my Uchiha-chen, so the next time he faces, it will be the well-prepared Pain, and it also includes the other 5 Pains. Forget it, run away and escape, and solve it together next time. I understand Pain's 6th path ability very well. It's not a threat to me at all. Chen thought for a while in his heart, and didn't bother about this issue anymore. Fei Lei Shen launched, disappeared in place in an instant, and then appeared beside Sasuke, Shigego and others. The Eagle Squad members, after seeing Chen's return, stepped forward to understand the situation. Boss, what's the matter? Did you kill that neuropathy just now? Shuiyu asked impatiently after arriving in front of Chen, as if she was worried about the fact that he was injured by Tiandao Pain. Well, knocked him out, but didn't kill him. I think he'll be back soon. Is that guy the leader of Akatsuki's organization? Sasuke asked thoughtfully. Did you even escape? Well, what is the leader of the Shao organization, that's all. Xianglin said disapprovingly. Don't underestimate him, of course it won't be that simple to be the leader of those powerhouses in the Shao organization. Although I beat him back today, it means that his strength has not been fully exerted, otherwise, we will not be so relaxed. If it wasn't for us who happened to be in Yinan village today, maybe Yinan village would have been razed to the ground by him already. After Chen explained a bit, he said to Xianglin, Xianglin, today the Yinan village suffered a lot of losses. You are the one to appease the people below, and the task of reconstruction will be handed over to you. Humph, I see. It seems that our leisurely days are over. Really, I thought we would have a good rest for 2 days after capturing the 4 tails. But I didn't expect that there would be trouble so soon. Since Pain has come to the door in person, it means that he has already started to attack us. After this battle, he also recognized my strength, so it is impossible to come again when he is not fully prepared, and we still have opponents like the 5 great ninja villages, so we must take precautions. So as not to be robbed by others, Shuiyu, ordered to go down and strengthen the alert. If any suspicious person enters the territory of Tianji, be sure to investigate. I see, I will order it. Then, let's go to the conference room first. Let me tell you about our next move. Let's go. Chen first ordered Shuiyu and Xianglin 2 tasks, and then walked to the conference room, and everyone in the Eagle team consciously keep up. When they arrived at the meeting, everyone first found a place to sit, and then all looked at Shang Chen, wanting to know what his so-called next move was. Boss, now we can talk about what our next action will be, right? It's so serious, shouldn't it be to rob the man of the shinobi village again? Is it Wu Yin or Yinian? Wait until everyone is seated after that, the impatient Shuiyu said jokingly, but he was only joking, but Chen's answer surprised him. I saw Chen. She looked at Shuiyu abusively, with a sneer at the corner of his mouth, and said in Shuiyu's unbelievable eyes. Our target this time is not Kuryuki, nor Iwakaku, but Konoha. P.S. Chapter 183, The Undercurrent of the Night. Regardless of whether Shuiyu was frightened by Chen's actions, but at this time, Konoha Hidden Village, which is far away in the country of fire, still maintained its unique rhythm and moved forward at a leisurely pace, completely unaware of it. A storm is coming towards Konoha Hidden Village, and now the village is still a thriving scene, but on this calm surface, an invisible wave of undercurrents is coming. In the Hokage office building in Konoha Village, the 5th generation Hokage, after reviewing the documents in his hand, Tsunade came to the window and looked at the village outside the building through the window. It was afternoon time. Looking at the street, Master Tsunade, who was coming and going, didn't know why, suddenly frowned and felt that today seemed a little unusual, and had an ominous premonition in his heart. He couldn't help but secretly said, "Why do I suddenly feel uneasy today? I always feel that something is wrong. A good thing is about to happen. Could it be that idiot from Jiraiya? No, no, no. I must have been thinking too much. How can something go wrong with that guy who is full of filth all day long? It must be because he is too tired these days, so he will be cranky." Thinking of this, Tsunade was no longer suspicious, and after walking back to Hokage's seat, he began to review the documents pushed on his desk. I hope that I can temporarily calm my restless mood by using work. Into the night. At this time, most of the residents of Konoha had already returned home after a day's work, enjoying the tranquility of a short time. Of course, they did not feel this short time. In addition, there are also many people wandering and playing in the streets. However, under the cover of the night in Konoha village, there is an unprecedented crisis that has quietly approached them unknowingly. At this time, on a mountain not far from Konoha village, a group of people was looking down at the quiet village below the mountain. Konoha village, hehe, I haven't come back for so long, but I didn't expect that there was no change at all, and it was still so peaceful. Look at those people, they all have a carefree expression, they are really happy, and who will remember that our Uchiha clan once made great contributions to the village, and who knows that the smiles on their faces at this moment were bought by Itachi with the lives of his clan and the infamy. Looking at the peaceful scene in the village, Chen not only said with a mocking smile on his face. Sasuke, how about you who revisited your hometown? Do you feel nostalgic? Sasuke allowed the naughty mountain wind at night to sway the hair in front of his forehead, and the sideburns of his temples also caressed his handsome cheeks back and forth. Hearing Chen's words in his ears, Sasuke didn't answer for a while. Looking at the village and the green waves at the foot of the mountain, he was a little lost. The Konoha village under the moonlight is permeated with an undeniable familiarity, and this familiarity makes Sasuke feel at ease, but also makes him sad and angry. The village has brought him a carefree childhood and scars that he can no longer erase. But at this moment, what this village brings to him is that he suddenly loses his language ability, and he is completely silent in the vivid memories of that year. Looking at Sasuke who didn't speak for a long time, Uchiha Chen didn't care either. Presumably Sasuke at the moment must have mixed feelings. No matter how much he asks, he probably won't be able to ask anything. Besides, Chen doesn't have to let Sasuke say it, so don't ask him anymore. In the village shrouded in darkness, the dim streetlights shone on the benches that had long been empty, making it look a little desolate and linear. I don't know whose house will occasionally hear a few weak cat meows from the wall, but at this moment, it is particularly clear in this silent night. The few lights in the house were also forced by the moonlight to gradually put away their light. In the distance, the restaurant that has not closed for a long time rustled out of several already drunk diners. Although they were still shouting to drink again, they were also supported by friends or family members, and they were staggering looking for home. Road. Everything today seems to be coming to an end as the lights go out one by one, but in fact, this is not the case. After a period of silence, Yu Chen finally broke the silence. Okay, let's end the memory, don't waste time. And Sasuke just recovered from the state of remembrance. After hearing the words, he said, I'm fine, let's act. After hearing Sasuke's answer, Uchiha Chen stopped talking nonsense, and began to distribute tasks in an orderly manner. Well. Very good, then follow the plan we set before. In order to ensure the smooth operation of this operation, I will repeat it again. A battle plan. Xianglin, when the war starts, the first thing you have to do is to find out where Danzo is hiding. Sasuke, this old guy Danzo will be handed over to you. I have the ability of that old guy yesterday. I've told you, I'm sure you can handle it, but be careful. Humph. I know, that guy once committed unforgivable sins to my clan, and I will never let him live this time. I believe you, but as the leader of the Root organization, Tuanzang has naturally recruited many talented subordinates, and many of them are loyal to him. If you want to kill Danzo, you will definitely be blocked by their desperate efforts. Suzuki, Shigego, the Root ninjas will be handed over to you. You only need to entangle the Root ninjas, so that they can't support Danzo. One more thing, Sasuke, you have to remember stop it. After killing Danzo, be sure to bring back his eyes and right arm, and then retreat immediately, absolutely not to fight again, otherwise it will be even more difficult for you to leave. Understood. After hearing their mission, Shueyu and Shigego responded at the same time. Shui Yu is even more. After installing the hilt of the beheading sword on her back, she said with a grinning smile, Hee tilde, I was just trying to test how much progress I have made these days. Just use those, root, ninjas to test just a moment. If that's the case, then, act. With Uchiha Chen's action, the 5 people turned into 5 black shadows at the same time, and instantly disappeared into the moonlight. P.S. Please customize. Chapter 184, One Sphere. Hey tilde, I've finally finished reviewing all the documents for today, so now I can go take a bath. I'm really exhausted. Tsunade, who had been busy all day, was finishing the last document. Afterwards, I couldn't help stretching my waist that was stiff from sitting for a long time. However, when she finished stretching and walked to the window of the office, a gloomy feeling rose from her heart, and it was stronger than before, making her feel restless and wrinkled in displeasure. Brows raised. Looking outside through the window, it was already night, but the lights outside the village were still brightly lit, with countless stars going back and forth, the laughter of the tavern, the chatter of people. Countless kinds of voices mingled together, noisy and peaceful. I hope I think too much. Looking at the village outside the window, which was no different from usual, Tsunade suppressed the anxiety in his heart and shouted to the door, Mute. Tsunade-sama. The work has been completed, you clean up, we should go back. Tsunade did not look back, while saying this to Mute, but his eyes were looking at the village outside the window, and his heart was difficult to calm down. I hope nothing bad happens. In fact, not only Tsunade, there are always some ninjas with amazing perception, who can also faintly feel the difference. There seems to be something wrong. This feeling is like before that incident happened. What is going on? In a certain house in Konoha, Kakashi, who was planning to rest, and Suna like hands, after feeling the strange atmosphere, he also came to the window and looked at the pedestrians on the street outside the window, with a hint of worry between his brows. Although even he himself did not understand the origin of this worry, the experience between life and death over the years told him that something major would happen soon. Everything is proceeding in an orderly manner. Except for a few ninjas who have a keen sense of perception, the villagers in the village have not noticed anything wrong. For them, this is just ordinary and leisurely day. At the edge of Konoha village, in a wood behind the former site of the Uchiha clan, 5 figures appeared out of thin air. Boss, have we entered the interior of Konoha now? Well, yes, we are now in the woods behind the clan of our Uchiha clan. As long as we walk out of the woods, we will arrive at the clan of the Uchiha clan. Back then, the senior officials of Konoha forced us to monitor our Uchiha clan. The whole clan moved to this remote place to live and was isolated from Konoha, so no one would appear here at all. I was secretly cultivating here. I had long thought that such a day would come, so I stayed. I got my spell, and it finally came in handy today. So it is. Okay, don't talk nonsense. Let's start the action. I'll attract the attention of Konoha ninja in a while. You guys take advantage of the chaos to find the base of the root department, and then follow the plan, you know. Understood. Since that's the case, the art of psychic. Hey tilde. An earth-shattering roar cut through the night sky, and countless people were awakened in their sleep. The drunken men on the street stopped laughing, and pedestrians stopped one after another. In the direction of the clan, his face was full of disbelief. The entire village was silent for a moment, except for those who had just woken up from their sleep, and after they came out of the house swearing, the expressions on their faces instantly petrified, and they became as dumb as the previous villagers. At this time, in the direction of the old site of the Uchiha family, the violent chakra raged, sweeping everything around and raising gusts of sand. In the smoke and dust, a giant beast as high as a mountain loomed, screaming in the sky under the moonlight, and the scarlet beast's pupils released a terrifying and bloodthirsty light, staring at the village in the distance. That's... No way. This turns out to be... At this moment, the memories hidden in the deepest place surged like a flood. At this moment, the villagers of Konoha remembered the disasters and fears they had once forgotten. It's Nine Tails. It's Nine Tails. I don't know who was the first to call out that name, and then the fear spread like a tide, and the sluggish villagers came back to their senses, followed by screams of extreme fear, like crazy. Yes, he ran to the refuge in Konohayan village, only to regret that he lost 2 legs at this time, and the whole village was shrouded in chaos and fear. Boom. In the Hokage office building, Tsunade smashed the desk in front of her with an angry fist. She had already finished today's affairs, and she was planning to go home after she had finished cleaning up the mute. The sign appeared out of thin air on the outskirts of the village. Although it was the periphery, it was also within the village's barrier. With the reminder of Nine Tails, it was easy to enter the village's hinterland. Damn, it turned out to be Nine Tails. What's going on? Tsunade was angry at this time, but his heart was full of doubts. After all, Nine Tails have always been sealed in Naruto's body. This is a well-known thing, but the Nine Tails that were originally under control now appear in the village. Tsunade really didn't understand what was going on. However, the situation did not allow Tsunade to think too much. She naturally knew about the danger of the Nine Tails. The most urgent thing now is to evacuate the villagers and organize the Nine Tails to enter the hinterland. Come on. Following Tsunade's summons, 2 figures instantly appeared half-kneeling in front of Tsunade, who were Hokage's Anbu guards. Quick, send the order, organize ninjas to guide the villagers into the shelter to escape, and the rest of the people, do all they can to stop the Nine Tails. Yes. Also, be sure to find Naruto Uzumaki. No matter what he is doing, you must control him and bring him back. Yes. After receiving the order, the 2 Anbu members disappeared instantly and went to hold the order. At this time, only Tsunade and Mute were left in the office. Does my anxiety today refer to now? Nine Tails. Why did he appear in the village? What the hell is going on here? Chapter 185, Imminent. Lord Tsunade, since Kyuubi appeared in the village, could it be that something happened to Naruto? Mute asked Tsunade worriedly after the 2 Anbu members went down to give the order. After all, she has always regarded Naruto as her younger brother. Now that this happened, she couldn't help but worry about Naruto's safety. I don't know yet. I'll understand when I find Naruto. Mute, you also help lead the villagers to evacuate. I'm going to deal with the Nine Tails. Master Tsunade, you. Stop talking nonsense. I'm Konoha's 5th Hokage. Of course I want to protect the village. Go and obey my orders. Yes. Tsunade-sama, please be careful. Mute also knew that the situation was serious, and after taking orders, he rushed out of the office and went to evacuate the people. Nine Tails, no matter who it is, I will make you pay a heavy price. Looking at the direction of the Nine Tails, Tsunade was extremely angry and said through gritted teeth. Immediately afterwards, without stopping, the diameter rushed in the direction of the Nine Tails, and some black shadows sprang out from nowhere, and followed behind Tsunade. Those shadows were naturally the Anbu elites who belonged to Hokage and were in charge of Hokage. As the guards work, they naturally have to follow. On the other hand, Chen did not do anything after summoning Juwei, as if he was waiting for something. Boss, why don't you start before Konoha's ninjas are assembled? Seeing that Chen Kai didn't intend to start, Shuiyu couldn't help but ask suspiciously. Don't worry, although I have hatred for Konoha, but my target is not those villagers. Killing them means nothing to me at all. Oh, is that so? Okay, don't meddle in your own business. The Konoha people have already come, so hurry up and act. Remember, after completing the task, immediately drive to me. Don't fight, understand? Understood. Seeing that the ninjas of Konoha were rushing here, Sasuke and the others did not stop any longer. They activated the Shunjutsu, and instantly disappeared from the Nine Tails, leaving only Chen and Nine Tails alone to face the coming Konoha crowd. In the distance, a group of Konoha's ninjas are approaching Nine Tails at an extremely fast speed. What the hell is going on? Why did the Nine Tails suddenly appear in the village? A Konoha ninja, looking at the vicious Nine Tails, couldn't help but grit his teeth. I don't know, but we have to stop the nine-tailed no matter what. Even if we risk our lives, we must not let the nine-tailed close to the village, otherwise, the tragedy of more than 10 years ago will be repeated. Look at, on the head of Juwei. A person is standing. A sharp-eyed ninja suddenly saw Chen on Juwei's head and exclaimed in disbelief. What? It turned out to be true. Could it be that Juwei is being controlled by someone? After seeing the exclamation of the ninja, the others looked at each other, and sure enough, there was a vague figure on the head of Juwei. Is there a person standing on Kyuubi's head? How could such a violent and powerful nine-tails allow a tiny human to stand on his head? There can only be one explanation for the scene in front of him, that is, the nine-tails in front of him is being controlled by someone. Who the hell is he? He was able to tame the nine-tails. It's incredible. Humph. Don't care who he is, since he dares to put the nine-tails into the village, he must be trying to be detrimental to the village. Our task is to stop him. Let's hurry over there. Finally, the first group of Konoha ninjas rushed to the scene, but they did not dare to do it first. After all, facing the nine-tails like a mountain, everyone felt the pressure. More importantly, so far, the nine-tails have been around since they appeared to the present. In addition to screaming in the sky and raising chakra, ravaging the surrounding woods, I thought that there was no threatening attack, so Konoha's ninja did not dare to attack rashly at this time, so as not to anger the nine-tails. Humph, it's coming so fast. But didn't your fifth Hokage show up? Just let you guys come down and die. Facing Konoha's ninja, Chen did not attack immediately, but stood in the nine-tails. On his head, he teased the Konoha ninjas below from a condescending height. Hearing Chen's teasing, the eyes of Konoha's people couldn't help looking at Chen, and then they were stunned, because they couldn't imagine that the one who could tame the nine-tails was just a young boy who was surprised. At the same time, it felt incredible. You are Sasuke Uchiha. No, are you the Uchiha Chen who was rumored to have destroyed Union Village? At this moment, someone in the Konoha crowd exclaimed. After all, Chen's name is too loud, and his wanted order has long been familiar to Konoha's ninjas. Originally, they still had doubts about this matter. After all, it sounds like a fantasy. The dignified five-ninja village, Union Village, which is as famous as Konoheian Village, will be destroyed by a young man. There is really nothing more impressive than this incredible. But now, they finally met the rumored young man, but no one doubted the authenticity of the Union Village incident. After all, the young man in front of him had tamed even a powerful being like Nine-Tails. With Nine-Tails, he can already compete with Union Village. Yes, you are knowledgeable. Kwana, who was standing on Juwei's head, glanced at Konoha. There was such a complex look in his eyes, but it was fleeting, although his feelings for Konoha were not as deep as Urzuzi's, because since the extermination of the clan, he has been staying at home, and he has never gone out after training, but after all, he once lived in Konoha, and Konoha is both familiar and unfamiliar to him. Konoha, Uchiha Chen is back. Thinking of what he had suffered in Konoha over the years, Chen couldn't help showing a mocking smile and shouted loudly. The Nine-Tails at Chen's feet seemed to be able to feel Chen's mood, and also screamed in the sky, as if venting the misfortune that Chen had suffered. At the same time as the Nine-Tails roared, the Konoha ninjas under their feet were all tense, and they all assumed an attacking posture. Their faces were full of vigilant expressions, preventing the Nine-Tails from suddenly attacking. The atmosphere at the scene became tense, and there was a possibility that it could be triggered. P.S. Please customize. Recommend a novel, Naruto Unparalleled System. Please support us. Chapter 186. The battle begins. For flowers. Just when Chen and Konoha's ninjas were at a stalemate, another group of Konoha's ninjas arrived, including Kakashi, who had fought against Chen. You are Uchiha Chen. Like the Konoha ninja in front, Kakashi came to the Nine-Tails and saw Chen standing on the head of the Nine-Tails, but he recovered quickly, because he always wears a mask on his face, so outsiders can't see the change in his expression at all. It's Kakashi, long time no see. After seeing Kakashi, he greeted him as if he had seen an old friend. It has been more than 3 years since he fought Kakashi. After that, we never met again. Indeed, it was a long time no see. However, at this time Kakashi's heart was not as calm as Chen. From a very early time, he felt that Chen had a resentment for Konoha from Chen's body. Although he did not know where this resentment came from, but what is certain is that Uchiha Chen's appearance in Konoha this time is not a good thing, as can be seen from the 9 tails under his feet. 9-tailed. The evil chakra emanating from it is the same as the 9-tailed chakra leaked by Naruto. It is so ominous, and the sense of oppression I feel from it seems to be genuine. Tailed beast. I got the news before. When I was in Union Village, Uchiha Chen once summoned the 9 tails, and combined the power of the 9 tails to raise the Union Village to the ground. I thought it was by people have distorted the facts, and now it seems that it should really be what the intelligence said. But, isn't the 9 tails sealed in Naruto's body all the time? So what is going on with the 9 tails in front of me? Although the surface did not move the sound and color, but Kakashi's heart turned violent waves, and he really couldn't understand why the 9 tails fell into the hands of Uchiha Chen, and he seemed to be so obedient. Uchiha Chen, what's your purpose of returning to Konoha today? Also, what happened to 9 tails? Facing Kakashi's questioning, Chen just hung up a sneer and replied, I told you before, Konoha, I will come back, but not to bring you back to confess, but to come back for revenge. Yes. Now, I'm just doing what I said. As for the 9 tails, you have to ask it. As soon as Zaichen's voice fell, the 9 tails under his feet seemed to be instructed, and suddenly raised his front paws and patted Kakashi below. Although the attack of the 9 tails was too sudden, Kakashi is also an extraordinary person. The moment the 9 tails started to make a move, he was alert, and when the front paws of the 9 tails were photographed towards him with a whistling wind, they moved towards him. Jumped to the side and escaped the attack range of the 9 tails. Boom! There was a loud crash of a landslide and the ground cracked, and Juwei's front claws slammed on the ground. Although it was empty, the attack of Juwei was too strong. It not only raised the wind and sand, but also caused the surrounding Konoha. The ninja felt the shaking of the ground, and what was even worse, was shaken by the shock. His feet were unstable, and he fell to the ground, very embarrassed. I'm going to destroy Konoha. If you want to stop me, then come. But you have to be aware of death, I won't be merciful. Ye people, Chen couldn't help showing a mocking smile, and said with a stern killing intent. Feeling Chen's killing intent, Juwei screamed up to the sky again, and the violent chakra raged. The 9 tails behind him swayed irregularly, raising gusts of wind and sand, and at the same time, big trees were constantly swept away by Juwei's tail. The violent chakra formed a wave of air that seemed to sweep everything around. It is like a wild beast that descended on the human world, full of violence, bloodthirsty rays of light in the scarlet beast pupils. It seems to destroy everything in front of it. No matter what it is, it cannot stop its atrocities. Really? Are you excited too? Then let's destroy this place together. Go, enter the village's hinterland. I'm going to turn Konoha into the second Union Village. Let them all feel the pain, all the unfair treatment that was inflicted on our Uchiha clan at the beginning, as well as the indelible pain in my heart. Let them repay together today. Uchiha Chen, hurry up and stop. After Kakashi jumped out for a while to stand firm, he immediately shouted at Chen. He heard Chen's self-talk just now, but he didn't at all. I understand what's going on, but he heard something from Chen's words. Chen's hatred for Konoha, and its behavior against Konoha today seems to be the annihilation of the Uchiha clan. Of course, he couldn't get in touch with those truths, so he naturally couldn't figure it out. Kakashi's words didn't have any effect. On the contrary, it aroused the hatred of the 9 tails. I saw that the 9 tails raised their front paws again and violently patted Kakashi's position. Damn! Facing the attack of the 9 tails, Kakashi naturally couldn't sit still. With his agile figure, he had already dodged and left the place before the attack of the 9 tails, and avoided the front claws of the 9 tails. The attack failed again. Quick, stop the 9 tails, stop it, never let him lean into the village. Damn fox, Die for me. Seeing the Nine Tails attack, the ninjas of Konoha were not idle, and they all launched their own attacks. Ninjutsu and kunai shuriken flew towards the Nine Tails from all directions, but the effect was very small. The shuriken hitting Kuo's body did not leave even a single scratch on Kuo's body. Since that's the case, after seeing that the persuasion was ineffective, Kakashi didn't talk nonsense anymore, and directly pulled up the forehead guard covering the writing wheel, revealing the kaleidoscope writing wheel with only a boomerang pattern. Humph. You, a foreigner, can improve the Sharingan to this level. It's really amazing, and it can be considered that you have not humiliated the blood of our Uchiha clan, but you copied the name of the ninja Kakashi, and that's it. Seeing Kakashi's kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, Chen flashed a thought, and then showed a stern smile. P.S. Please customize. Recommend a novel, Naruto Unparalleled System, for collection. Chapter 187, Fighting. At this time, at the old site of the Uchiha clan in Konoha village, a fierce battle started. Uchiha Tatsuya, who claimed to be an avenger, controlled the Nine Tails and formed a crushing attack on the surrounding Konoha ninjas. On the other hand, the Konoha ninja on the other side, in order to protect the village, desperately blocked the Nine Tails, and all kinds of ninjutsu exploded on the huge size of the Nine Tails. Recovery ability. The attacks of the Konoha ninjas can't cause any damage to the Nine Tails at all. Often a ninja desperately releases a powerful ninjutsu, although it can break through the defense of the Nine Tails and hurt the Nine Tails, but those wounds are visible to the naked eye. Visible speed, healed in the blink of an eye, and the attack of the Nine Tails can often kill several Konoha ninjas who can't dodge with one paw at will, which is unstoppable. What a monster! Seeing that the damage caused by the Konoha ninjas to the Nine Tails using ninjutsu was so lightly healed, Kakashi felt grief and indignation at the same time, but also a little helpless. I saw Kakashi, and after jumping away from an attack by the Nine Tails, his eyes stared at Chen on the head of the Nine Tails, and he couldn't help thinking about the countermeasures in his mind. It is impossible to stop the Nine Tails at this rate, and we must think of a way, since the Nine Tails were attacked by Uchi. Bo Chen is controlled. Then as long as Uchiha Chen is subdued, the Nine Tails will also lose control, so it will be easier to deal with. Kakashi quickly moved, and saw that he closed his right eye, and fixed it on Chen's body with the focus of the kaleidoscope of his left eye. Divine Might. As Kakashi's voice fell, I saw that the space where Chen was distorted, forming a spiral black hole that seemed to devour everything around it, and Chen, who was at the center of the black hole, was naturally the first to bear the brunt, and the body followed the suction of the black hole, gradually being sucked into the divine space. As Kakashi's divine power, if you can swallow the divine power twice as fast, it may be successful, but now. Chen, who was swallowed by the divine power, did not show a panicked look, but looked towards. He sneered and sneered in the direction where Kakashi was, and then disappeared instantly in place in Kakashi's stunned eyes. Nani? Could it be? Seeing Chen disappearing, Kakashi was surprised. He thought of the flying thunder god that Chen had used when he first fought Chen. He quickly disarmed his divine power, and then looked around for Chen's figure. Are you looking for me? Kakashi's infiltration sounded a teasing voice without warning. Kakashi was startled, and just wanted to do something, but before he had time to implement it, he saw a blade coming out of his chest. Boom! A burst of smoke dissipated, and Kakashi, who had been pierced by Chen with a streamer, turned into a dead tree and fell to the ground. Humph! It's these little tricks again. Looking at the dead wood under his feet, Chen couldn't help frowning and said unhappily. Rachel! There was a shout from Kakashi behind Chen, accompanied by a piercing cry unique to Raiden, and Chen didn't have to look back to know that Kakashi's attack was coming towards him. Naive. In the face of Kakashi's attack, Chen just showed a mocking look. The streamer in his hand flashed red, chakra filled the blade instantly, turned around suddenly, and the streamer in his hand moved towards Kaka, who was already close. West's head was cut off. Kakashi's eyes narrowed, and he squatted down slightly, avoiding Chen's slashing, and then the Rachel in his hand attacked Chen's stomach. However, Chen's reaction was also unusual, and his movements were even more rapid. After he missed the slash, he instantly rotated the blade, holding Lu Guang upside down and blocking it in front of him. Kakashi's Reiki finally hit Lu Guang's blade, and Chen was killed by Chen. When it came down, the attack naturally lost its effect. Seeing that the attack was missed, the purpose of the sneak attack had lost its effect. Kakashi didn't dare to stand still with Chen, and instantly jumped back, trying to distance himself from Chen, but of course Chen wouldn't let him take it so easily. To escape, he also had the same movement when Kakashi pulled away. Before Kakashi had landed, he rushed towards him. Damn, Lei done. Thunder Tiger kills. Kakashi didn't dare to be careless when he saw this. Reiki, who had not yet dissipated in his hands, suddenly condensed the form of two thunder dogs, roaring and attacking Shang Chen. But Chen was not afraid at all, and greeted the two thunder dogs. The streamer in his hand waved, and the two thunder beasts condensed by thunder and lightning were chopped up and dissipated. After that, the castration continued unabated, still attacking Kakashi, and suddenly accelerated after reaching a certain distance. In an instant, he rushed in front of Kakashi, and in Kakashi's terrified eyes, he pierced Kakashi's body again. However, the imaginary scene of blood splashing did not appear. I saw that Kakashi in front of Chen was oozing out thunder and lightning from the wound pierced by the streamer. Immediately after the lightning flashed, Kakashi's body instantly turned into an offensive thunderbolt exploded. Because all this happened too fast, and the distance didn't have time for Chen to make defenses, so he could only activate the Flying Thunder God technique and disappeared in place in an instant. The target that had been killed turned out to be a clone. This feeling really makes people depressed. Lei done clone. It's being played again. This feeling is really irritating. But shadow clone and double technique, it's Kakashi's trick that works. But forget it, I don't want to play hide and seek with you anymore. At this time, Kakashi, who was hiding in a hidden place, was watching Chen secretly, hoping to find out Chen's flaws and then make a sneak attack, but after hearing Chen's self-talk, he felt bad. Wooden. The tree world is born. I saw Chen's hands together at this time, forming a ninjutsu style, and in Kakashi's shocked eyes, he used the wooden escape map gun, birth of the tree world. It turned out to be the wooden ninjutsu of the first Hokage. How is that possible? Recommend a novel, Naruto Unparalleled System, for collection. Ask for collection. Chapter 188, Guild War II. Kakashi recognized the ninjutsu performed by Chen, and it was the Mudden ninjutsu of the first Hokage, but he recognized it and was unable to stop it. Quick, leave. Knowing what was about to happen, Kakashi was terrified and immediately alerted the Konoha ninjas who were besieging the Nine Tails. However, it was too late. The earth was roaring. Before the ninjas in Konoha could figure out the situation, they felt the whole ground shaking violently like an earthquake. Then, under the shocked eyes of those ninjas, countless vines broke from the ground. It grows wildly at an extremely fast speed, surpassing the growth rate of any plant in the world. The trees and vines are intertwined, entangling the unresponsive Konoha ninjas firmly, and then forming a squeeze. Most Konoha ninjas will in this way. He was squeezed to death, and before dying, he let out an extremely twisted and painful scream. And some ninjas with quick reaction, although they escaped the disaster in the first time, but those vines seemed to have consciousness and kept entangling them, although they were also fighting back, cutting off the vines that attacked them or destroy it, but due to the large number, and the moment the vines break, new vines are madly entangled, and they can't be killed. Under this indiscriminate attack, many Konoha ninjas were entangled in vines and followed in the footsteps of their companions. Although the birth of the tree world killed a lot of ninjas, Kakashi was not among them. With his powerful strength and the insight of the Wheel Eye, he avoided the attack of the tree vines, but he did not feel it. Rejoice and joy, because an extremely tragic picture appeared in front of him, which made him tearful. What he saw was a giant tree soaring to the sky. What made him angry was that the ninjas of their Konoha village were hung on the vines. Some were pierced by the vines, and some were entangled by the vines. Being squeezed, the blood dripped down the vines and dripped onto the ground, dyeing a large area of land red, and some ninjas who had not yet died made bursts of screams and painful wailing, showing a hellish sight. The vines finally stopped growing, and those ninjas who survived by escaping the vines were also slightly relieved. Because they had to escape just now, they had no time to care for him. At this time, while they were able to breathe, they were too shocked to add to the scene in front of them. Cheat. Lie. How is it possible? How is it possible? All the ninjas seemed to have lost their ability to think, their expressions became dull, and they whispered in disbelief, and they had forgotten where they were at this time. Where? Demon. You are a demon. Why did you do this? At this moment, Kakashi lost his previous composure and calmness, and his eyes showed grief and hatred that could not be concealed. His emotions became trembling with grief and anger, and he questioned Chen roaringly. And it was Kakashi's roar that woke the Konoha ninjas who had fallen into a sluggish state. Then, without exception, they all became the same as Kakashi, with incomparable grief and hatred. His eyes turned to Chen Uchiha, the culprit responsible for this tragedy, with a look of hatred that he could not wait to eat raw. In response to Kakashi's questioning, Chen's face showed a disdainful expression, and sneered, "Is this unbearable? Only a few people died. You must know that our Uchiha family was slaughtered at the beginning. It led to the extermination of the family, and only Sasuke and I survived. All of this was caused by the suspicion of the high-level Konoha. Now, I want to return all the unfair treatment the Uchiha family has received to you Konoha. It's just the beginning. The Uchiha family was slaughtered by Uchiha Itachi. Why should you blame Konoha? You are just making an excuse for your evil deeds. Forget it. I'm too lazy to talk about you guys who do and know the truth. I'm here today to destroy Konoha. Since you love the village so much, try to stop me." Chen was really too lazy to talk nonsense. His hands quickly formed a seal, and suddenly jumped into the sky. Fire escape. The fire is extinguished. Chen, who was in the air, after completing the seal, released an A-level fire escape ninjutsu towards the Konoha ninjas below, huo extinguishing. A sea of fire with a diameter of more than 20 meters rushed towards Kakashi and the others. Although it was only an A-rank ninjutsu, in Chen's hands it exerted the power of an S rank. Kakashi and others in the distance could feel the heat waves coming. Damn, the fire is too big. At this time, Kakashi and others will naturally not sit still in the face of Chen's attack, and ignore the sadness in their hearts. Dozens of ninjas with water attribute chakra stepped forward tacitly and stood at the front of the crowd. Unified into one seal. Water escape. Water formation wall. More than a dozen ninjas used the water wall at the same time, and the scene was naturally extremely spectacular, but at this time, no one had the leisure to sigh, because the water wall composed of a dozen people was only worthy of the fire of Chen and Chen. Equal. The two large-scale ninjutsu collided together, and the wall of the water formation was extinguished by the arrogant fire, but vaporized, and turned into water vapor in the sky. In an instant, the entire battlefield was covered by thick white fog, and it was night, which also obstructed their vision. Therefore, Konoha's ninjas did not relax their vigilance after neutralizing Chen's attack, and kept their eyes fixed on Chen's direction to prevent Chen from suddenly attacking. "Watch out, he's here." I saw that in the white fog, a conspicuous red light was rushing towards this side at a very fast speed. It turned out that Chen Zheng was killing the streamer filled with chakra in his hand. P.S. Please customize. Recommend a novel, Naruto Unparalleled System, for collection. Chapter 189, Telling the Truth of the Year. Be careful, he's here. A sharp-eyed Konoha ninja found Chen who was approaching them, and immediately alerted his companions, but then let out a scream, because Chen had already come to him, and he had not taken any measures. At that time, he was killed by Chen with a knife. Chen did not give the Konoha ninja a chance to breathe. Holding the streamer, he rushed into the Konoha ninja's camp at a very fast speed, waving the blade in his hand, and constantly harvesting the Konoha ninja's life, the Konoha ninja at the scene. Not a single one of them was the enemy of his unity. Everywhere he went, a blood flower was raised, accompanied by a scream, and one after another fell corpses. Damn it! Get out of here! Because Chen has already entered the crowd, surrounded by Konoha's ninjas dare not release ninjutsu easily because they are afraid of accidentally hurting their companions, but Chen has no such consideration. While harvesting with streamers, from time to time demonstrating a ninjutsu, every time he swings the knife, he can bring out a slash made of flames, causing Konoha to suffer heavy casualties. If this continues, it won't take long before Uchiha Chen will be able to kill the Konoha ninja present. They were all killed, and as a last resort, Kakashi could only let the Konoha ninjas retreat first. Secret method. The technique of doubling. Just after the Konoha ninjas all distanced themselves from Chen, a thick voice sounded, and then Chen saw a huge palm and slapped the place where he was. Bang! Chen sneered disdainfully, and then activated the Flying Thunder God technique and disappeared in place. The palm slapped on the position where Chen was just now, and after raising a piece of sand, it gradually became smaller, and Chen returned. On Kyuubi's head, he folded his arms around his chest, with a playful smile on his face, looking at the direction of the Konoha camp. The fog in the battlefield was gradually blown away by the strong wind, and the sight of both sides became clear. I saw that in Konoha's camp, the number of people increased, a lot more than before. It seemed that they had just arrived. Reinforcement, at this time, is waiting in full force, staring solemnly at the opposite Chen. In Konoha's camp, the fifth-generation Hokage Senju Tsunade seemed to be standing at the front of the crowd, gritted her teeth and glared at Chen. Standing beside her were the elite ninjas of Konoha Anbu, as well as various secret arts families. Leader in. At this time, the battle strength of Konoha's village appeared in front of Chen, and he confronted Chen. Tsunade, it's finally out. Uchiha Chen, sure enough, it's you. Why did you do this to Konoha? Tsunade glared at Chen on Kyuubi's head, and asked sharply. Why, when you Konoha pushed our Uchiha clan to a dead end, I also wanted to ask why. Our Uchiha clan, in the era of the Warring States period, joined forces with your Thousand-Hand clan to establish the hidden village of Konoha, ending the war. Has a supreme achievement, and later defended the village against foreign enemies, shed blood and tears during the war, guarded the village, and made great contributions to the village, but the result was the scourge of genocide. I also want to ask why this is in the end. Damn, your Uchiha clan was slaughtered by your own clan, Uchiha Itachi. Why should you blame us Konoha? If you want to avenge the Uchiha clan, you should go to Uchiha Itachi, that renegade. Why do you want to attack us Konoha? A Konoha ninja behind Tsunade yelled at Chen after Chen said that. He tilde. After hearing the ninja's words, Chen smiled and said to Tsunade with a sarcastic expression, Tsunade. It seems that you still don't know anything about the incident of the year. You Hokage is really sad. Huh, what do you mean? After hearing Chen's sarcasm, Tsunade frowned, asked Chen, and thought to himself, damn. I guessed it right, the case of the Uchiha clan really was hiding something, and it's definitely not that simple. How many things Sarutobi-sensei still has to hide from me? Humph. Want to know? Then let me tell you. After Chen snorted coldly, he was not in a hurry, but began to tell the secrets of the year to the Konoha ninjas. Since he has already attacked Konoha, there is no need to hide those things. After all, he is not the kind of Itachi. The person who is willing to bear all the crimes for the sake of peace. He just wants to make the people of Konoha speechless. When Chen told the truth that the Uchiha clan did not go extinct, the expressions of the Konoha people below also changed again and again. These ninjas didn't even know that the original tragedy was still concealing so many facts, and their faces were full of expressions. Full of disbelief. I didn't expect that the truth of the Uchiha clan's genocide turned out to be like this. So Uchiha Itachi did it to the Uchiha clan for the peace of the village. For the peace of the village, not only did he kill all his clansmen, but he also took the blame alone and became a traitor. It's unimaginable. Not only to the clan, but also to my own parents. How painful it is. In the end, in order to keep a secret, I became the village's rebel, and was spurned by the people in the village. This is really unimaginable, the peace we enjoy. It turned out to be the result of the pain Uchiha Itachi suffered. After Chen revealed the truth, Konoha's ninjas were talking about it. Some regretted, some blamed themselves, and of course some disapproved. Humph. Who knows if what he said is true, just make up a story. Have you lied to us? However, Tsunade obviously believed Chen's words. When Uchiha was annihilated, she felt that things were not that simple, and Uchiha Chen had no reason to make up such a story to deceive them. Recommend a novel, Naruto Unparalleled System, for collection. Chapter 190, The Beginning of the War. After learning the truth of the Uchiha clan's tragic extermination, Tsunade obviously believed Chen's words. Although he expressed guilt to Uchiha Itachi, he also expressed anger and puzzlement to Uchiha Chen in front of him. Since Chen has long known that the original truth was because the Uchiha family wanted to launch a rebellion and committed suicide, and it was not the hands of Konoha, why did Uchiha Chen put this account on Konoha's head? Is it simply that you want to vent your anger with Konoha? What does he think of Konoha? Since, as you said, the demise of the Uchiha clan is also self-inflicted, trying to launch a coup d'état and causing war, Uchiha Itachi also made such a decision to protect the peace of the village, so why are you attacking the village now? Humph. It's up to you to take the blame. If it wasn't for the suspicion and persecution of Konoha's high-level officials, how could our Uchiha family want to launch a coup d'état? Back then, our Uchiha family united with Yuchinsho and established Konoha Hidden Village. You can't do it. However, Yuchinsho clan drove away the head of the Uchiha clan, Madara Uchiha, and because of the grievances between the Thousand Hand clan and the Uchiha clan, you were afraid of the power of the Uchiha clan, in order to appease Uchiha. The family has given the Uchiha family a special position called the Konoha Special Police Force. On the surface, it seems to be a symbol of trust in Uchiha. In fact, it is just to keep the Uchiha family away from the government affairs of the village. It is also about the Uchiha family. As for the measures under the surveillance of the village, in the end, the Nine-Tails accident was even suspected, so that the entire Uchiha clan was expelled to this remote corner and almost became a state of isolation. How is this possible? I didn't expect something like this to happen in the first place. Why did the village make such a decision? Konoha's ninjas couldn't help looking at each other after listening to Chen tell the secrets of the year, and there were doubts and disbelief in their minds. They really didn't know how to answer, and they were silent for a while. Most of them are ordinary civilians, and they cannot understand the thoughts of those in power at all, and only the Konoha ninja who owns a family has a thoughtful expression. Looking at the Konoha ninjas with weird expressions below, Chen's face showed a disdainful expression, and continued with a sneer. It's your Konoha's suspicion and discrimination that denied the Uchiha clan's credit, even the basic politics. All rights were deprived, and finally they were completely isolated. The whole clan was under the surveillance of Konoha. Step by step, Uchiha was driven to a dead end, and even his survival was threatened, so he was forced to launch a coup d'état. It was the persecution of the high-level Konoha that led to the current result. This is the debt that Konoha owes our Uchiha family. Today, I will let Konoha village pay. Tsunade at this time had a dignified expression. She actually believed most of what Chen said just now, but she didn't show it at this time, and she couldn't admit it, because the truth was so overwhelming, heart-wrenching. If you admit it, it would be like showing everyone the filth and darkness of the upper floors of Konoha, which will make Konoha face shame, especially now as an extraordinary period. Although Tsunade had already cursed Konoha's high-level officials countless times in his heart, he had to maintain his due dignity on the surface, and said to Chen, Uchiha Chen, the so-called things you said just now are true. Now there is no way to verify it, so it can't be used as an excuse for you to attack Konoha. If you are caught now, I can assure you that the truth of that incident will be thoroughly investigated, and the Uchiha family will be fair. After listening to Tsunade's words, Ranchin couldn't help sneering and said sarcastically, "Ha ha ha tilde give the Uchiha clan justice. It's ridiculous. Can a justice save the Uchiha clan's tragic death? I don't care, Uchi." The humiliation that Bo suffered at the beginning, I will pay back all of it today. As soon as Chen's voice fell, the 9 tails under his feet screamed in the sky without warning, shocking the Konoha ninja below, and a violent chakra erupted from the 9 tails, wreaking havoc on everything around him, and then in the terrified eyes of everyone in Konoha, 9 tails quickly condensed a chakra ball around his mouth. It's aimed at the village. Damn tilde. It was too late to stop it. 9 tails roared and shot the tailed beast cannon out of his mouth. With a bang, the heaven and earth shook, and the chakra ball with a suppressed and terrifying atmosphere flew straight towards the direction of Konoha village. Attacked away, all the substances in the middle were all smashed, deep ditches appeared in the earth, and the terrain was also distorted and changed under this terrifying coercion. Boom! Everything happened in the blink of an eye, and the dark-tailed beast Jade finally bombarded the Hokage rock in the middle of Konoha hidden village, flashing a dazzling light. The infinite impact has affected the Thunder Pond, and everything around the bottom of the Hokage rock was not spared, and all turned into ruins with a loud noise. The thick smoke dissipated, and the Konoha ninjas were horrified to find that the Hokage's office building and Hokage rock had disappeared without a trace at this time, and what was left was just a huge crater formed by an explosion. At this moment, everyone in Konoha had already been stimulated by the scene in front of them. They stared blankly at the huge pit with thick smoke, and their eyes were full of disbelief. In an instant, the scene fell into silence. However, the momentary silence is a symbol of a more extreme outbreak. Recommend a small book, Naruto Unparalleled System, for collection. Chapter 191, Class 10. At this time, in Konoha village, some ninjas are searching for civilians who have not yet entered the shelter. Their task is to help those who have difficulty moving, the elderly, the weak or those with limited mobility and bring them to the shelter. Little girl, I'm really bothering you, dragged down by my body. Old lady, please don't say that. Since I am a Konoha ninja, it is our duty to protect Konoha's villagers, and that's what I should do. All the villagers in the village have been evacuated. I will send you there now. Thank you so much. On the silent street, a Konoha ninja who looked very young with long yellow hair and tied her hair in a ponytail, was carrying an old lady with limited mobility behind her, rushing towards the shelter. This female ninja was Yamanaka Ino, a member of the 10th class who graduated from Konoha Ninja School. After Konoha was attacked, the 10th class members received an order from Hokage to search the village before they could evacuate the villagers and protected them to the shelter, and the old lady on Ino's back was a lonely old man who had no family. Due to his advanced age, inconvenient mobility, and no one around him to take care of him, when Konoha sounded the alarm, he did not go to the shelter, but stayed at home, and was finally found by Ino who was searching and rescuing, and was finally found by Ino, carrying the old lady to the shelter. Ino was on his way nervously when 2 figures suddenly jumped from a roof next to Ino, and Ino stepped down after seeing the person coming. Shikamaru, Choji, how are you? The people who came were the other 2 members of the 10th class, Nara Shikamaru and Akamichi Choji of the new generation of Pig Deer Butterfly. After receiving the task, they began to search separately in Konoha village, and after searching Konoha. After the village, come and meet Ino. Dingji and I have searched for Konoha, but we couldn't find it. It seems that they have already evacuated. Shikamaru said with a frown, damn, I didn't expect such a thing to happen. Why is the 9 tails in Naruto's body? Will appear in the village for no reason. Has something happened to Naruto? Don't worry, Shikamaru. Naruto's strength is very strong. I believe he will be fine, and Tsunade-sama has already gone to the battlefield in person. She will definitely be able to stop Kyuubi. Dingji beside Shikamaru, seeing Shikamaru, who was showing a worried expression, hurriedly patted Shikamaru on the shoulder and comforted him. Shikamaru didn't think about it anymore. After all, they still had tasks to do now, and quickly said to Dinky, I hope so, but I always have an ominous premonition. Forget it, don't think about it anymore. Dingji, you go. The old man on Ino carried his back to the shelter, and Ino and I continued to search to see if there was anything we missed. I see, leave it to me. After Denki replied, he hurriedly came to Ino's side, intending to pick up the old lady on Ino's back. After all, he was the strongest here, so let him carry the old man on his back. The words are always more suitable than a girl in Ino, and Ino gently put the old lady on his back down. Mother-in-law, let me carry you. Haha tilde I'm really bothering you. It's okay, it's our duty to protect the villagers. However, just when Denki was about to carry the old lady back on his back, a dazzling light suddenly lit up in the distance, and that direction was exactly where the nine tails were. Immediately afterwards, there was a loud noise. Before Shikamaru, Ino and others could react, a strong storm, mixed with countless debris, hit them. Be careful, get down. Shikamaru responded quickly and issued a warning before the storm approached. Ino and Dingji also responded at the same time. The old lady was under her protection. Just after those actions were done, the storm had already blown in front of them, and there were rubble and wood chips constantly hitting their bodies, but fortunately, they were lying on the ground at this time, so there was not much damage. The storm came and went quickly. In just a few breaths, it has dissipated, and the surroundings have returned to calm. Ino and the others opened their eyes only after they felt the storm dissipated. In just a few seconds, each of their backs were covered with sand and debris. It's all right, get up first. Several people stood up from the ground, and then patted the debris on their bodies. And then, Shikamaru looked in the direction where Kyubi was, and couldn't help but feel worried. The movement just now came from Kyubi, and it seems that it has already started. It's just the aftermath of the battle to form such a big movement. It should be using a powerful ninjutsu. It seems that the situation is not optimistic. Shikamaru, look. Shikamaru, who was still worried about the battle situation, suddenly heard Ino's voice and looked in the direction Ino pointed, and then he was stunned, because the scene in front of him made him feel horrified and unbelievable. Not only Shikamaru, but everyone present became sluggish after seeing the scene, and their eyes were full of horror and disbelief. How could it be? Actually, unexpectedly. The scene in front of several people, all the buildings turned into endless ruins. The Hokage Rock and the Hokage office building in the center of the village no longer exist, replaced by a huge pit and a line. The ditch that runs through the entire village can only be seen from farther away. That is to say, the huge Konoha hidden village has been cut into two from the middle. Ino stared blankly at the scene in front of him. This. What the hell? What happened? Just when he was lost, another figure came from a distance, and a few ups and downs came to Shikamaru and others. Ino, Shikamaru, why are you still here? Hearing someone shouting, Shikamaru and the others also came back to their senses, and when they saw who it was, they said anxiously, Sir Mute, after we received the mission, we have been searching the village for those who have not yet entered the shelter. Villagers, we were going to send the old lady to the shelter, but the village. What the hell is going on? Why did the Nine Tails appear in the village, and who was attacking the village? The person who came was Konoha Hokage Chinsho Gunshu's assistant, Kato Mute. Her mission, like Shikamaru and others, was to search for villagers who hadn't evacuated, but she saw Shikamaru's group in the distance, so she rushed over. I got the news just now that the one who attacked Konoha was Konoha's S-class traitor, Uchiha Chen. Chen, this is impossible. Recommend a novel, Naruto Unparalleled System, for collection. Chapter 192, Go to the Battlefield. The one who attacked Konoha was Konoha's S-class betrayal, Uchiha Chen. It was he who controlled the Nine Tails and let the Nine Tails attack the village. Many of our ninjas have already lost their lives. He threatened to let Konoha become the second Union village, and destroy the entire Konoha. Kato Mute's face showed an expression of grief and indignation, and said bitterly. Nani, Uchiha Chen, why did he do this? Hearing such news, it was obviously beyond Shikamaru's expectations, because in his knowledge, although Chen and Konoha may have had some unpleasant festivals, but after all, he used to belong to Konoha, and he really couldn't understand how Chen would attack the village so cruelly. Has Uchiha already become so strong? We used to be classmates, but I didn't expect. Dinky also felt incredible about the news. They and Uchiha are still classmates. They used to enter the ninja school in the same year. But there is no intersection with Chen, not to mention that Chen has not come to the ninja school after the tragedy of the Uchiha family, so Dinky and the others are naturally unfamiliar with Uchiha Chen, but they did not expect to become enemies now. Lord Mute, do you know what Uchiha's purpose is? Shikamaru has a solemn expression on his face. He also knows how powerful Uchiha Chen is. When they met the undead duo organized by Akatsuki, they were driven to a dead end by Feijuan. Even their teacher Asma lost his life, but fortunately, Houchin arrived at the time of crisis and killed the two members of the Akatsuki organization who had abused them so helplessly. Not long after that, news came that Union Village had been razed to the ground. You must know that Union Village is not just a small hidden village. It is a behemoth with the same name as Konoha. Its combat power and economy are not inferior to Konoha, and its military strength is even stronger than Konoha, but it was destroyed by Chen. Now Uchiha Chen targeted Konoha, which was undoubtedly a disaster for Konoha. Shikamaru also knew that nothing could be changed with his strength, so he wanted to ask what the purpose of Tatsu was, and then come up with countermeasures to deal with Tatsu. I don't know, it seems to be related to the tragedy of the Uchiha family back then, and it involves some secrets from many years ago. Don't think about it for now, you have seen the situation just now, it's very dangerous here, let's send the old man first. Go to the shelter. Don't worry, Tsunade-sama will be able to clear the crisis. That's the only way. Let's talk about it after sending the villagers to the shelter. Dinky, send the old lady to the shelter first. I see, I'll send the old lady over here. Dinky replied, then came to the old lady and carried her on his back. As for me and Ino. After Shikamaru handed over the task of escorting the old lady to Dingji, he turned to look at Ino, but the place where Ino was standing just now was already empty. It was the direction of the Nine Tails. After Mute said Chen's name just now, Ino's mind was in a trance, and he felt a sharp pain in his heart. She really couldn't believe what she had heard. The one who attacked Konoha was actually the one she missed the most, and she couldn't imagine why Chen would do such a thing to Konoha. She was going to go to Chen and ask him to understand, no matter what. She also wanted to stop Chen, so when Shikamaru was talking, she took the lead in running towards the direction where the Nine Tails were, that is, where the battle was going on. She just wanted to see Chen immediately and ask him what was going on. Shikamaru also reacted after seeing Ino's actions. He knew that Ino's heart had always been thinking about Uchiha Chen. Now that he heard such news, Ino would definitely look for him desperately. If Ino is looking for Chen, Shikamaru may not be worried. Although Uchiha Chen has already been convicted of being an S-class traitor, he knows that Ino occupies a very important position in Chen's mind, and he believes that Chen will definitely not hurt Ino. But now, he is not sure. After all, the current Uchiha Chen is the culprit who attacked Konoha and caused the scene in front of him. From this scene, Uchiha must have no mercy for Konoha. I really don't know if Uchiha Chen's attitude towards Ino is still the same as before. He can't let Ino take this risk. Damn, Ino must be looking for Uchiha Chen. Dingji, hurry up, I'll go after Ino now. I see, you must be careful, and I'll meet you again after I send the old lady to a safe place. Dinky also knew that the situation was urgent, so he didn't say anything more, saying goodbye to Shikamaru, carrying the old man behind his back. The wife rushed in the direction of the shelter. Shikamaru also set off after explaining to Dingji and chased after Ino, and although Mute didn't understand why Ino reacted like this, she also felt bad when she saw Ino rushing to the battlefield alone, so she and Shikamaru went to chase Ino together. Shikamaru, what's going on? Why did Ino react like that after hearing Uchiha Chen? Could it be between Ino and Uchiha Chen? Mute didn't know the intersection between Chen and Ino, so when she saw after Ino reacted like this, she naturally felt very strange, but she was not stupid. She had already thought of something, but it was still a very difficult time, and she couldn't let Ino act on his own. Shikamaru gave a wry smile and replied to Mute. Actually, Ino has been in love with Chen from a very early age, and Chen Uchiha seems to have a special affection for Ino, so Ino will only after she learned that the person who attacked the village was Chen Uchiha. I think she must want to ask Chen Uchiha to find out why. I see, but now Uchiha Chen has no feelings for Konoha. I'm worried that Ino will be attacked by him if he gets close to him, and I must stop Ino. I know. Mute and Shikamaru were talking, but the speed of their feet did not slow down, and gradually caught up with Ino, but Ino ignored them and still rushed in the direction of Q-Way. At this time, there was only one thing in her heart. That is to see Chen immediately. Chen, what happened to make you make such a move? I must ask you to find out. Chapter 193, The Uninvited Guest of Root. When Chen and Konoha village were fighting, Sasuke and the other four had already sneaked into Konoha's hinterland and started operations, and Yuka Phosphorus was sensing the location of Danzo. Just as a few people were waiting for the result of Xianglin's perception, a dazzling light suddenly flashed from the village behind them, followed by a loud noise, and they saw that the central position of Konoha village seemed to be affected by a powerful force. Power destroyed. Seeing such a scene, Shueyu couldn't help showing an excited expression, and said with a chuckle, "What a big move, it seems that the boss has already fought with Konoha's people, and I don't know that the boss will destroy Konoha into a what does it look like, but looking at this posture, I guess it will definitely not be worse than the one at Union Village." Humph, hurry up and do what we need to do. Xianglin, have you found Danzo's location? Sasuke glanced at Chenao's movement indifferently, then turned to Xianglin who was closing his eyes and said. Hearing Sasuke's words, Xianglin frowned and seemed to retort impatiently, "Don't be long-winded, didn't you see what I was looking for? Don't disturb me." Humph. Sasuke snorted coldly and didn't speak any further. After being silent for a while, Xianglin, who frowned tightly, suddenly opened his eyes, which shocked Sasuke and the others. "I found it." Xianglin reached out and pushed his glasses, then turned to Sasuke and the others. "Hey, let's go." Sasuke and Suzuki were led by Xianglin and rushed in the direction of the root. As the most mysterious root of Konoha, as the name suggests, root organization lives underground, and the ninjas in it are controlled by Danzo alone and have been cursed. From the mouths of Konoha's two advisors, Konoha is divided into two sides. Hokage is the positive side and Danzo's root is the dark side, but both sides are indispensable. We don't know how many bad things General has done in private, but we can say a few things, such as Uchiha's extermination, Orochimaru's experiment, the assassination in Danzo's mouth, forcing Yahiko to death, Shisui's eyes, and many more. When it comes to root, I have to talk about Danzo. He possesses and controls the ability of the Thousand Hands and Uchihas. His right eye is implanted with Shisui's kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, together with the 10 on his right hand. There are a total of 11 writing wheel eyes. Because of the genes of the first generation of pillars, they can also control Mudun. Judging from the ability of his implanted body, it seems that he intends to control the 9 tails. He is a man who goes unnoticed, he is a man who is spurned, he is a man with blood on his hands, he is a man who hides in the roots under the leaves, he is a man who seeks in the dark bright people. He is Danzo. At this time, a secret base in Konoha buried in the dark underground is gathering a lot of ninjas, and the weakest ones have the strength of elite Chunin. Among them, their leader, Shimura Danzo is sitting steadily in a high position, and the ninjas below are all members of the root group, all elite ninjas he has collected from various families in Konoha. Those root members, the ninjas are in a state of being ready to go at this time, and they seem to be taking action, and they are dumbfounded by Danzo's instructions. When Chen commanded the 9 tails to attack Konoha, Danzo immediately received the news, and after the destruction caused by Chen and 9 tails, he immediately summoned the elite ninjas of the root department, but it was not to support the village, but let his subordinates get ready, because he knows that this may be a rare opportunity. Of course, this opportunity does not refer to capturing or eradicating Uchiha Chen, but to use Uchiha Chen, hoping to use Uchiha Chen's hand to destroy the Konoha Lord and faction headed by Tsunade, or the Dove faction. Then the Snipe and Clam competed for the fisherman's profit, and then he came forward to clean up the mess. At that time, both the credit for quelling the turmoil and the weakening of the power of the Lord and the faction, he would naturally ascend to the peak of power. As for the appearance of the dead and wounded, it is a necessary sacrifice for Danzo. Danzo can blame the current Hokage for the mass casualties of the Konoha ninja, which is the head of Tsunade. Konoha's management has always been the most important thing is the stability of the village. Now that the village led by Tsunade has suffered such a blow, its position is naturally unstable. In this way, given the opportunity, and with a good reason, Danzo replaced Tsunade. It was a piece of cake. Lord Danzo, now the rebel Uchiha Chen is attacking the village, don't we go to support? A ninja who had just joined the Root group and had not had time to be brainwashed, waited for a while but did not receive the group Zhang's order. He couldn't help asking anxiously, because he had just joined the organization, and he was not as loyal to Danzang as the others, and he still cared about the family and the village. Now that the village is being attacked, he is naturally extremely anxious. Can't help but doubt Danzo. And just after the ninja wanted to question Danzo, he suddenly felt a dozen murderous auras locked on him. The murderous aura was like substance, making him feel like he was in Senluo Hell. Full of astonishment. At this moment, his body did not dare to move in the slightest, and he even suspected that if he had any change at this moment, he would be instantly divided by a knife. Huh. Danzo, who had squinted his eyes and didn't know what he was thinking, also opened his eyes at this time, looked at the novice indifferently, and said after a moment of silence, "Enough. Relax, don't be so nervous." Quote. As soon as Danzo's voice fell, the murderous aura of his loyal followers dissipated on the newcomer. After the newcomer felt the pressure relieved, he slumped to the ground and panted. The cold sweat had already killed his ninja. The uniform was soaked, and there was no doubt in Danzo's eyes, only fear remained. Be patient, we have to wait for the best moment, now is not the time for us to make a move. The newcomer did not dare to question Danzo again, and said tremblingly, Is that so? Hug. Sorry. Yeah, you are also worried about the safety of the village, so I don't blame you. Danzo said indifferently, and then just continued to close his eyes again. At this moment, Danzo's expression changed, and before he had time to say anything, he heard a loud bang from outside the base, followed by footsteps, who were approaching here unhurriedly. Root Department were also on alert in an instant, and looked vigilantly in the direction of the footsteps. Finally, 3 unhurried figures came into the sight of everyone in the Root Department. One held a large decapitation knife with a malicious sneer on his face, and the other had orange hair and looked very simple and honest. The strong man, the last one, has a long knife hanging around his waist, with an indifferent expression on his face. The most interesting thing is his scarlet eyes, 3 black hooked jade evenly distributed in the pupils, is slowly turning a blind eye to the ninja in the Root. His icy eyes only focus on Danzo sitting in a high position. Finally found you, Danzo. P.S. Please customize. Chapter 194, Attack on Sasuke. The 3 people who broke into the Root organization base were obviously Sasuke Uchiha, Shigego Tianping and Suzuki of the Eagle Squad. As for Xianglin, she was not a fighter, so after finding Danzo's nest I found a place to hide and peeked in secret. Sasuke didn't rush to do anything after seeing Danzo, but just stared at Danzo with indifferent eyes. He still had a few questions that he wanted Danzo to tell him personally. Danzo squinted at the uninvited guests in front of him, and finally set his eyes on Sasuke, who seemed to be thinking about something in silence. As for Danzo's subordinates, they also did not dare to do anything without receiving Danzo's instructions. They were vigilantly staring at the 3 intruders in front of them. They were already tense, and they only needed an order from Danzo. Kill all 3 enemies in front of you. Both sides were silent, ready to go, and the atmosphere was extremely oppressive. After a long while, Danzo suddenly opened his mouth, breaking the strange silence, and said to Sasuke in a slightly old voice, "Suoga, now it's Chen Uchiha who is attacking Konoha, then. You are another of Uchiha's remnant, Sasuke Uchiha is here." Sasuke didn't reply, obviously tacitly agreeing. "Huh, Sasuke Uchiha, you who have become a traitor, you dare to appear in front of this old man is really daring, but it's really stupid. Since you brought it to the door yourself today, I will accept your eyes. Oh, there is another remnant, Uchiha Chen. After I get rid of you, I will go to him and reunite your brothers," Danzo said while staring at Sasuke indifferently, and started to disarm the device on his right hand. Watching after the arrival was Uchiha Sasuke. He planned to do it himself. He coveted the Uchiha family's writing wheel eyes, and naturally he would not miss this rare opportunity. Sasuke didn't stop Danzo's actions. He still looked at Danzo indifferently, and said in an emotionless voice, "Before that, I want to ask you a question. Konoha, including you, upper level, is it true to order Uchiha Itachi to obliterate the Uchiha clan?" However, in the face of Sasuke's questioning, Danzo ignored it, didn't even raise his head, didn't even look at Sasuke, and still silently removed the device on his right hand. "I ask you, is it true that the upper Konoha, including you, ordered Uchiha Itachi to obliterate the Uchiha clan?" Sasuke's voice sounded again, and there was a trace of uncontrollable anger in his eyes. From indifference to murderous intent. Facing Danzo's ignorance, Sasuke has lost his patience. When Zaichin confessed the truth of the year to him, he already regarded Danzo as a mortal enemy in his heart, and he hated Danzo to the core. "I want to smash his corpse into 10,000 pieces, but now I just want to personally confirm the authenticity of that incident back then. Answer me." I saw Sasuke suddenly roared, and without warning, he reached out to hold the hilt at his waist, then leaned forward slightly, and rushed towards the seemingly defenseless Danzo at a very fast speed. Presumptuous. Danzo's subordinates are all elite ninjas, and they have always been vigilant about the actions of Sasuke and others, so when Sasuke just made a move, they reacted again, and they all shouted angrily and then pulled out the long sword behind them instantly. Under the order of Zhang, they started to do it one after another, and their goal was the same, that is, Sasuke who was attacking Danzang. Facing the dozens of sharp blades slashing at him, the expression on Sasuke's face remained unchanged, and there was no trace of panic. And those Danzo's subordinates didn't avoid or defend when they saw Sasuke. Seeing that their long sword was about to hit Sasuke Uchiha, all of them had a thought in their minds without exception. Is this Sasuke Uchiha an idiot? He even dared to ignore their attacks, or that he was really so confident that he didn't take them seriously at all? Stupid or not, they quickly got the answer. Just when the elites of the Roots were about to slash Sasuke with the long knives in their hands, they saw a sudden lightning strike on Sasuke who was running, and dazzling lightning flashed all over his body. Thunder escape. Chidori flow. There is no doubt that the Root members who attacked Sasuke were all resisted by the violent lightning on Sasuke's body. Not only could the sword in their hands no longer touch Sasuke's body, but even they themselves were attacked by the lightning, and their entire bodies were paralyzed. Before they made the next move, they saw a cold light pass over their throats, and then there was no more. Go away. With another roar, Sasuke's aura increased again, and he was able to knock out the members of the Root who besieged him, which shocked the remaining members of the Root. They were all elite ninjas under Danzo's battle-hardened men. Accepting a dangerous assassination mission, often dealing with the god of death, the reaction is naturally extraordinary. Just a stunned god, they immediately reflected, without checking the situation of the companion. They waved the knife, and attacked Sasuke again. At this time, Shigego and Shueyu moved. The two of them, one to the left and one to the right, activated the instant body technique, and one instant body appeared beside Sasuke. Shueyu's beheading sword was raised horizontally on the head, and he would chop several of Sasuke's swords. The long knife held it. Although Chongo did not use a weapon, his body could be transformed into the shape he wanted as a weapon. At this time, he had already entered the curse mark state, and raised his left arm to transform into an axe. Hold up the attack from the left. Hee tilde tilde don't ignore me, let me play with you from now on. While blocking, Shueyu deliberately showed a relaxed expression on her face, and teased at the roots in front of him. Sasuke, go and solve Danzo, leave it to us here. Shigego also turned around and said to Sasuke behind him after blocking. Sasuke glanced at Shigego and Shueyu, then snorted coldly and said, "Humph. I know, I'll go and get rid of Danzo now. As for you, don't be killed by these little characters." After speaking, without waiting for Shueyu and Shigego's rebuttal, he suddenly flew towards Danzo. Chapter 195, Angry Susa. Sasuke, go and solve Danzo, leave it to us here. Shigego also turned around and said to Sasuke behind him after blocking. Sasuke glanced at Shigego and Shueyu, then snorted coldly and said, "Humph. I know, I'll go and get rid of Danzo now. As for you, don't be killed by these little characters." After speaking, without waiting for Shueyu and Shigego's rebuttal, he suddenly flew towards Danzo. Hey, this kind of tone is really annoying. By the way, I remember the boss said that he is pretending to be forceful, right, pretending to be forceful. And when Sasuke ran towards Danzo's subordinates were naturally unhappy and wanted to abandon Shueyu and go to stop Sasuke, but Shueyu did not give them this opportunity, waving the beheading sword and suddenly entangled go up and stop the root who wants to chase Sasuke. I said that I will be your opponent. If you ignore me, I will be very distressed. Seeing that the road was blocked, several members of the root group looked at each other, and at the same time they all understood that this person in front of him was not easy to deal with. If you want to support Danzo, you must first get rid of him. Then please die. A member of the root snorted coldly. Senran's killing intent locked on Shueyu, and attacked towards Shueyu in an incomparable tacit understanding. With a significant improvement, it is already at the level of elite Junin. Although Danzo's subordinates are elites, most of them are between special Junin and Junin. It is a high-risk assassination mission, so he is proficient in killing skills, has rich combat experience, and the advantage of the number of people, so he can suppress Shueyu for a while. As for Changwu, the situation is the same as Shueyu, but the number of opponents he faces is double that of Shueyu, because his strength has reached the quasi-shadow, and there are faint signs of breakthrough, so he is more than Shueyu. Easy. And when Sasuke rushed in front of Danzo also happened to completely disengage the device on his right hand. After the bandage wrapped around his right hand was torn off, it was always gray and white, and the arm inlaid with 10 writing wheels was completely exposed. Although Chen Zhao had already told Sasuke about the information on Danzo's arm, but what he saw with his own eyes still made him feel unusually angry, but he forcibly held it back for a while, and there was no trace of emotion on his face. Indifferent, his eyes looked at Danzo, as if he were looking at a dead person. What's the matter with the Sharingan in your hand? After a moment of silence, Sasuke asked Danzo indifferently, although he had already guessed it. Hearing Sasuke's question, Danzo couldn't help looking at his right arm, and said with emotion, "A lot has happened, so it's going to be long." After hearing the reason, it will only increase my anger. I have already decided to kill you, but before that, you answer my question first, and the upper Konoha, including you, order Uchiha Itachi to kill you. Are the Uchiha clan real? After listening to Sasuke's question, Danzo didn't intend to answer. After forming a seal with his hands, he took the dust around him and ran towards Sasuke, punching Sasuke's abdomen with a punch. Danzo didn't choose to start with ninjutsu directly. He wanted to explore Sasuke's strength first. Although he didn't think highly of Sasuke from the bottom of his heart, Danzo, who was a veteran of fighting fritters, still chose a relatively stable battle model. On the other hand, Sasuke still didn't make any big moves, but he didn't know when a faint purple chakra had penetrated around his body. From this chakra, Danzo felt a very ominous aura. Danzo's right hand, which was studded with a writing wheel, seemed to hit a steel plate. This is... Danzang suddenly felt bad. raised his head to look at Sasuke. I don't know when. Sasuke's 3-goose jade writing wheel eye has turned into a 1,000-flower pattern writing wheel eye, staring at himself, with a faint purple chakra all over his body. At this moment, it is also much richer, and after a while, bones even slowly grow out of these purples. Danzo was stunned for a moment, and instantly understood that what Sasuke was doing at this time was nothing but Susanoo. Immediately, his feet hurriedly touched the ground and opened the distance of Sasuke, but he didn't want to be a step late, and Susanoo, who was transformed by Sasuke's pupil power, grabbed it in his hand. This is it, Susanoo. Danzo, who was grasped by the bone hand, asked a few words forcefully from his mouth. Sasuke frowned slightly, as if seeing Danzo like this made his mood extremely violent, and the bone hand of Susanoo who grabbed Danzo seemed to inadvertently intensify his strength again, even at a distance. A creaking sound could be heard from inside Danzo's body. I'll ask you again, is it true that the upper Konoha, including you, ordered Uchiha Itachi to obliterate the Uchiha family? Sasuke didn't want to say unnecessary nonsense with Danzo at this moment. An answer that brings to the fore the questionable fact. I'm asking if you're real. Seeing Danzo turning a deaf ear, Sasuke became even more angry, grabbed Danzo's bone hand and tried hard again. Feeling the grip strength coming from the bone hand, Danzang's complexion began to look a little ugly, as if he had reached the limit of what his body could bear, and a mouthful of old blood spurted out. Answer me quickly. Danzo heaved a sigh of relief and raised his head to look at Sasuke again. At this time, Danzo was already weak to the point in his face, and coupled with his appearance, he was simply an old man who was on the verge of hitting the street. I always thought he wasn't that kind of person. Did Itachi say everything before he died? Sure enough, you are the only one who is special. Danzo seemed to have used up all his remaining strength, and even spoke very hard. Barely. What the hell is going on? The closer he felt to the answer he wanted, the more anxious Sasuke became. Find borderline topics. I thought Itachi was a man who wouldn't reveal secrets, but I didn't expect. Although Danzo's words were ambiguous, the current Sasuke was not a child who had not yet grown up, and he instantly understood the hidden meaning. So, what I just asked is the truth, isn't it? The voice was just stunned, and along with Sasuke's anger, Susanoo also changed, and the originally empty skeleton body slowly grew out of muscle, skin and even armor. With Sasuke's anger, Susanoo, who was entangled in him, seemed to be able to feel the anger and unwillingness in Sasuke's heart, and even evolved into a mature body at this moment. Chapter 196, Izanagi. In Danzo's words, Sasuke already knew the answer, and he couldn't help but think of the time he spent with his brother Uchiha Itachi, and the truth that Chen had confessed to him at the beginning. Thinking that Itachi had suffered so much pain, Sasuke's heart was filled with grief and anger, and Susanoo seemed to feel Sasuke's resentment, and at this moment, he advanced to the stage of maturity. At this time, Danzo's weak voice sounded again, pulling Sasuke back to reality from his memories. Self-sacrifice, that's the ninja, who never sees the light of day, hides in the shadows. This is the true face of the ninja, not just Itachi. There are many ninjas who have died in this way. This world only depends on beautiful words, it's far from enough. It is because of their sacrifice that peace has been maintained. If you don't understand Itachi's legacy, you probably won't understand it. However, Itachi, who confided your secrets to you, still only counts. Traitor of Konoha. However, as soon as Danzo finished speaking, he only heard a sound of body breaking, and the Danzo in Susanoo's hand instantly turned into blood mist. At this time, Sasuke no longer wanted to listen to Danzo's self-righteous principles, so it was Danzo's final slander against Itachi, and it was like poking Sasuke's scar. Itachi is Sasuke's inverse scale. Itachi, someone like you is not qualified to comment, Sasuke said lightly after letting go. Suoga. Then, let's talk with our eyes and have a good fight. Sasuke was startled and turned his head abruptly to see that Danzo, who had just turned into a blood mist, was standing behind him intact, holding a kunai in his hand, leaning over and rushing towards him, whereas the morbid state of the old man, his eyes are full of killing intent. Sasuke turned around in a hurry, causing Susanoo's weak spot to quickly shift its position, and the kunai in Danzo's hand was also broken into two pieces by the giant force at the moment of contact. Hehe, sure enough, it would be more appropriate to use Susanoo to save his life. Sasuke relied on Susanoo to resist his sneak attack, which surprised Danzo. Bang! Accompanied by Danzo's voice, a violent collision sounded suddenly, sending up dust all over the floor. Now Sasuke is too lazy to talk with Danzo here. Since he followed Uchiha Chen to Konoha and got his own answer, it's time to do what he should do. He was stabbing his head in the ground, and it seemed that he had been punched hard by Susanoo, even he couldn't bear it. Due to the experience just now, Sasuke did not naively think that Danzo was so easily solved by himself. Sasuke stood up and began to scan around, searching for Danzo's location. The attack power is also impeccable. Sure enough, during Sasuke's search, Danzo was already standing on another high ground. For a time, the two became antagonistic, and neither was in a hurry to attack. Sasuke, I believe you must also know something about the taboo technique of the Uchiha clan. Danzo's right arm has 10 writing wheel eyes. With your strength, when we fight Konoha, when you face the group when the time comes, he will never hide his strength by despising you, and he will definitely lift the seal on his right arm. Speaking of which, you can probably guess what the taboo pupil technique you want to talk about is. Izanagi, who can use it twice, becomes 10 times when it comes to Danzo. In other words, Danzo will have the ability to determine the real and unreal 10 times during the battle, and when Danzo casts this eyes on his right arm will also be closed. Remember, all you have to do is to force him to use this pupil technique with your strongest attack, and use illusion at key places to cause him to open his right arm. Misjudgment of the number of open writing wheels, and then one hit kills. Facing Sasuke, who had died in his own hands but appeared in front of him again unharmed, Izanagi, a kind of pupil technique that Izanagi said was taboo among the Uchiha clan, could not help but emerge in his mind. Sasuke, who had a plan in his heart, urged Susanoo to punch at the high ground where Danzo was located, and the high platform fell apart in an instant, and Danzo also jumped among the stones shot from the high platform, avoiding the smashing. Own fist. Then Sasuke's attacking situation didn't end. I saw his knees slightly bent, then he suddenly jumped up, and quickly rose along Susanoo's spine until it reached the level of Danzo, and the slightly closed the left eye suddenly opened. Amaterasu. Before Danzo could adjust his position in the air, a sudden black flame spread all over his body. After the severe pain from his body made Danzo scream in agony, he fell to the ground and was burned by the fire of Amaterasu. A cloud of ashes. Looking at the ashes that fell on the ground indifferently, as expected, just a breath, the ashes disappeared in Sasuke's eyes, as if they had never appeared. Humph. Seeing this, Sasuke snorted coldly and slowly turned to look behind him. Sure enough, at this time, Danzo was standing not far behind him, looking at him unscathed, but if anyone noticed, the 10 writing wheel eyes on Danzo's arm had been closed unknowingly. 3 were left, and only 7 were left. Wind escape. Vacuum jade. Before Sasuke turned around, Danzo's hands had already completed a set of handprints. After condensing the chakra, he took a deep breath and continuously sprayed out the bullet-like wind blades made of wind attribute chakra from his mouth, like a machine gun. The speed and quantity of the attack attacked Sasuke. Sasuke's eyes narrowed, and the writing wheel has reached its peak. The speed of those wind blades suddenly became slower in his eyes. With his agile skills, Sasuke was like a dancer, twisting his body to avoid there were fatal attacks one after another, but the number of these wind blades was too much. When Sasuke jumped up and had nowhere to help, a wind blade attacked in a tricky position, making Sasuke unable to dodge, and finally cut through. Sasuke's right shoulder, gurgling blood oozing from the wound, dyed Sasuke's arm red. After avoiding the last few wind blades, Sasuke covered the wound on his right shoulder with his left hand. There was some sweat on his forehead, and the group it seems that he has the upper hand in the few confrontations of Zang, but his consumption of chakra and physical strength is also not small, and his breathing also has some difficulties. Amaterasu. I haven't seen it for a long time, as expected of Itachi's younger brother. Chapter 197, Guild Wars. Amaterasu. I haven't seen it for a long time, as expected of Itachi's younger brother. Did you inherit Itachi's pupil technique? Seeing that Sasuke avoided his own wind escape, Danzo did not attack again, but stood indifferently looking at Sasuke and sighed, and Sasuke heard Itachi's name again from Danzo's mouth and couldn't help wrinkling. He frowned, gritted his teeth, showing a very angry expression, and angrily shouted at Tuanzang, I told you to stop mentioning Itachi. Even though your brothers have the same abilities, do your eyes comprehend things very differently? It doesn't really matter to you the truth of Itachi, you just want to find someone to vent your hatred at will, you make the sacrifice of the Uchiha clan worthless. Meaning, Tuanzang said indifferently, and then raised his right arm, which was planted with shackles. Looking at the writing wheel eye on Danzo's arm, Sasuke seemed to be provoked with anger. His eyes suddenly opened, revealing a murderous aura. He reached out to hold the hilt of the grass pheasant sword inserted in his waist, and suddenly moved towards Danzo. Attack and go. Facing the murderous Sasuke, Danzo did not panic. His hands formed the seal again, and it was completed in an instant. After taking a deep breath, he released it again like Sasuke, wind escape. Vacuum wave. However, this time Feng Dun was not a scattered attack like the previous one, but like a long whip composed of Feng Dun, it suddenly swept towards Sasuke with the momentum of sweeping thousands of troops, attacking Sasuke's waist, as if to make Sasuke cut off in general. However, Sasuke is not an ordinary person. Although Danzo's ninjutsu is very fast, with the blessing of Sharingan, Sasuke still has enough time to react, just when Danzo's ninjutsu is about to hit his own. At that time, Sasuke jumped up suddenly and passed Danzo's wind blade. Although it looked very thrilling, he did escape Danzo's attack, and Sasuke, who was in a volley, pulled out at that moment. He took the long blade around his waist and slashed towards Danzo below. Seeing that his ninjutsu attack was ineffective, Danzo was helpless, so he had no choice but to hit the ground in front of him with Fengdun ninjutsu, raising a cloud of dust, which blocked Sasuke's vision for a while. Then Danzo took the opportunity to jump back a distance, and quickly took out two shuriken, his index finger inserted into the middle hole of the shuriken, and he applied wind escape, causing the two shuriken to be in the middle of the shuriken. His hand was spinning at a high speed, and because of the chakra of the wind escape attribute, the shuriken was wrapped in the wind attribute chakra, which looked like Naruto's spiral pill shuriken. Immediately after, Danzo threw the shuriken in his hand towards the spot where Sasuke was in the cloud of smoke in front of him. The moment the shuriken let go, with a harsh whistling sound that ripped through the air, he drew a beautiful line in the air. The arc-shaped line flew towards Sasuke. And Sasuke's attack was also blocked because of the line of sight, so he cut at the position before Danzo, but Danzo had already jumped away. After missing the first hit, he immediately looked around and searched for Danzo's location. At this moment, there was a cracking sound in his ear. Listening to the debate, Sasuke instantly knew which direction the attack was coming from. As soon as he turned around, he saw a shuriken wrapped in Feng Dun chakra flying in front of him, but this did not cause Sasuke any trouble. Right now, he had already seen through the trajectory of the shuriken. When the shuriken was about to hit him, he instantly made a dodging action, and when he saw his body leaned back, the shuriken was about to hit him. The top of his body flew into the distance. A root ninja who was fighting against Shigego did not notice the shuriken coming from behind him because his attention was on Shigego. When he heard the whistling sound of the shuriken, he was caught off guard. They were cut into two pieces by their leader's shuriken, and only had time to let out a scream. Sasuke stood up straight after dodging the shuriken, and at this time, there was a sound of breaking through the air like just now. Sasuke. Sasuke didn't panic, picked up the writing wheel, and after seeing the trajectory of the shuriken, he turned slightly to the side, dodged the first shuriken, and saw the opportunity, and stabbed the point of the long sword in his hand. entering the hole in the middle of the shuriken, intercepted a shuriken. Because of the chakra of the wind, the shuriken did not stop rotating on Sasuke's long sword, and it was still rotating at high speed. After the second shuriken Linsho, Sasuke sent the long sword forward, letting the tip the shuriken on top block the second shuriken, and after the two shuriken collided, the second shuriken was ejected into the sky. At the moment when the second shuriken was ejected, Sasuke's finger moved slightly, and a chakra line that was invisible to the naked eye had been shot from Sasuke's finger, and the shuriken that had been ejected was repeated. After all this was done, Sasuke suddenly swung a knife towards Danzo's position, and threw the shuriken on the tip of the knife towards Danzo, and he himself was also at the moment when the shuriken was swung out. He left, followed behind the shuriken, and charged at Danzo with the sword in hand. Seeing that the shuriken that he attacked Sasuke actually flew back towards him, Danzo didn't dare to let up. The two shuriken collided in an instant, and both bounced into the sky. Danzo, who had just defused the attack of the shuriken, saw Sasuke slash at him with a long sword in his hand. In the face of Sasuke's offensive, Danzo was unafraid of it, and took the initiative to meet Sasuke with his feet. The moment Sasuke swung his sword, Danzo's speed was even faster. The force made Sasuke feel unable to breathe, and the pain was so painful that he couldn't exert any strength. The long sword that was about to slash at Danzo couldn't move forward an inch, but Sasuke's fingers trembled slightly. Before Danzo could make another move, he saw a mocking smile on Sasuke's mouth. Before he could react, a shuriken that he threw out to attack Sasuke had already attacked. Danzo only felt a flash in front of his eyes, followed by a sharp pain in his right hand, and the arm that was pinching Sasuke's neck was cut off by the shuriken. And Sasuke is no longer bound, so naturally he will not let go of such an opportunity. While Danzo is still surprised, the long knife in his hand has already slashed on Danzo's body. He cut it into two pieces. Chapter 198. Danzo, who died again. The battlefield was filled with the dust raised by the fighting. Looking at Danzo, which was divided into two parts on the ground, Sasuke also slowly exhaled. However, before Sasuke could relax for too long, a sense of unease came back into his heart. Danzo's corpse, which he had chopped into two pieces, was gradually fading until it disappeared, as if it had never appeared. Don't tell me. Sasuke turned his head and saw Danzo standing on another high platform in good condition. How is that possible? I have already cut off Danzo's right arm, and Izanagi can still activate it. It seems that he has to use the tactics that Chen said. He must be made to ignore his illusion. It's useless, Danzo said softly, standing on the high platform, looking down at the solemn Sasuke with indifferent eyes. I saw Sasuke Weizo's brows suddenly spread out, and his eyes met directly at Danzo. Not long after, thousands of crows scattered from Sasuke's body at the same time. The crows in the sky went straight to Danzang, and then gathered behind Danzang into a blurred silhouette of a person. At this moment, Danzo was slightly startled, and hurriedly turned around to take a look. The figure gradually became clearer, revealing a cold and handsome face and the shuriken-like pattern in his eyes. It wasn't Uchiha Itachi, but who was he? Danzo is naturally very familiar with this face. Die. Before Danzo could react, Uchiha Itachi took the first step and spit out two words coldly from Itachi's mouth, and Amaterasu's black flames had already spread all over Danzo's body. Then Danzo calmed down after being a little flustered, and said indifferently, "It is indeed worthy of praise for letting me fall into illusion." Before Danzo's voice came to the ground, Sasuke attacked directly from behind with his sword in both hands, and stabbed at Danzo's lower back. However, before the tip of the sword touched Danzo in the slightest, Sasuke felt stiff in an instant, unable to move an inch, and then stripes of lava-like color began to spread from his feet. Nani? This is a curse mark. Could it be? Sasuke recalled that when he fought Danzo just now, he was caught by Danzo's right arm. The other party took the opportunity to cast a curse mark. Judging from Danzo's performance, he has already mastered the activation time of the curse seal very flexibly, so he is not afraid of Sasuke's attack. It's useless, your illusion has been seen by me long ago, and at your current level, it is better than compared to you, who has the ability to freely control the time of illusion, hee. It's really far from heaven. Danzo said slowly without turning his head. At this moment, despite Sasuke's best efforts, he couldn't move a single bit. Danzo decided that Sasuke must be unable to move now, and he calmly spit out a resolve from his mouth after forming a seal with his hands. The life of garbage, Itachi. Look at the embarrassed appearance of this guy, he is your only failure, isn't it? Danzo raised the sword he had just drawn from Sasuke's neck and pointed it at Sasuke's neck. The neck was cut off suddenly. However, before the sword fell on Sasuke's neck, only a loud noise was heard, and Susanoo condensed in his body in an instant, and sent Danzo, who was about to kill him at close range, flying out. At the same time, Susa also gradually grew bones, muscles, skin, and armor during Sasuke's anger. A bow appeared in his hand, and the arrows straddling the bow were aimed at Danzo, and the curse mark on Sasuke's body also turned into nothingness at this moment. Danzo once again mentioned Itachi in front of Sasuke, and even slandered Itachi like death, and soon tasted the consequences of his own death. Is this Susanoo? It's completely different from just now. Danzo took a deep breath and sprayed forward, quickly adjusting his position to avoid the arrows that were about to shoot. Danzo followed the recoil of the air and glided for a distance. He chose a relatively flat position with his left foot, looked up, and saw that the arrow on Susa's bow had been released and was continuing to fly towards him. Did you see the timing of my landing? Damn it, it's too late to seal. There's no way. Danzo meditated in his heart, then he flicked his right arm, and saw a violent squirming on his right shoulder, and then a sapling instantly supported the clothes that broke. The surface grew into a sturdy giant tree, which deviated from its original position, causing the flying arrow to penetrate the giant tree and nail it to the ground that was close to Tuanzang. It's finally reluctantly changed the track. Danzo touched the sweat on his forehead and said with a little fear. It took so much trouble to avoid my attack. It seems that Izanagi was just untied. Otherwise, it wouldn't take so much chakra to dodge. In this case, Sasuke found the problem after thinking for a while. Sasuke's body was transformed into Susanoo, and then he raised the ancient Tianma bow in his hand, and shot another arrow at the place where Danzo was. Have you found it? Haha, but it's too late. Danzo not far away. Before the arrow flew, his hands quickly formed seals, and he had already activated Izanagi again. The arrow that let go directly penetrated Danzo's body in response to the sound, but it didn't work. Danzo, who appeared in another place, raised his right hand to look at the writing wheel in his hand, and quickly sprinted towards it. Sasuke. Today's Sasuke's left eye is already full of blood stains. It is obvious that a large number of pupil techniques have caused a serious load on the Sharingan, but in the face of the menacing Danzo, he has to shake his head to wake himself up a little. Even if Susa the attack will make the eyes load even more serious, but he still controls Susa to shoot another arrow at Danzo's location. Izanagi, let go, Danzo spit out a few words in a hurry. Sure enough, after the arrow penetrated Danzo's body, Danzo's figure appeared from another place. I saw Danzo's hands quickly forming seals, and he took a deep breath again. A storm gathered in front of him in an instant, and after a while, it smashed directly on Susa. After doing all this, Danzo also habitually looked at it again. Looked at his right arm. Chapter 199, White Hot. Facing Danzo's wind escape, Sasuke relied on Susa's super defense and did not evade at all. He manipulated Susa to block in front of him with his arms, resisting Danzo's wind escape, but resisted the attack. But at this time, Sasuke had consumed too much chakra and physical strength, his body had a little soreness, and his breathing had become short. However, with the tyrannical Susanoo, Sasuke has already consumed Danzo's 6 shakers, and now there are only 4 shakers left on Danzo's arms. Susanoo is very difficult to deal with, and it is not easy to dodge the arrow's attack, so let's bet once. Looking at Sasuke, who was breathing heavily at this time, It seemed that he was about to reach the limit, but Nasusano always gathered around him and wanted to attack Uchiha Sasuke. Then Danzo had to find a way to kill Susanoo first. Almost solved. Danzo, who had made a decision in his heart, stretched out his right hand and stained his fingers with the blood oozing from his wound, then formed a seal and performed a psychic technique. Boom. Ang tilde. A burst of smoke emerged out of thin air, followed by a loud howl, and a huge psychic beast loomed in the smoke. When the smoke cleared, the true face of the monster was revealed to Sasuke. I saw that this monster had orange fur, sharp claws on its limbs, and the most striking thing was that the monster had a long elephant trunk on its head, which looked like a tapir. Is this the dream-eating beast that Chen said? The monster that devours nightmares is bigger than expected. Sasuke couldn't help feeling a little surprised when he saw the size of the monster. However, the Dream Eater ignored Sasuke's surprise. As soon as it appeared on the scene, it immediately started to act, opened its huge mouth, and even formed a powerful attraction in its mouth, like a black hole, smashing everything around it. Sucked into his mouth. Under this huge attraction, even Susanoo could hardly stand still, and was gradually sucked and pulled by the Dream Eater bit by bit. Bang! Seeing this, Sasuke snorted coldly, and controlled Susa to resist the force desperately, and even gave up the attack on Danzo, and let Susa's arm support the ground to stabilize his body. However, Sasuke was unable to defend himself in this way, and even revealed his back in front of Danzo without any defense. In this way, Susanoo can't move, and then use the attraction of the Dream Eater to enhance the power of Feng Dun. Feng Dun. Vacuum waves. Danzo naturally wouldn't let go of the opportunity in front of him. His hands quickly formed a seal, and then charged towards the unsuspecting Susanoo. After closing the distance, he suddenly took a deep breath, and then spewed several wind blades from his mouth, approaching Susa's empty door. Feng Dun's super strong tearing force, coupled with the huge suction force caused by the other Dream Eater beast, the superposition of the two can increase the power of Danzo's Feng Dun ninjutsu by several grades, and the speed is extremely fast. Before Sasuke could take any defensive measures, it had already attacked Susa's back. With a slight tearing sound, Danzo's Feng Dun, under the blessing of the Dream Eater, increased its power greatly, and was able to break through Susanoo's outer armor, tearing it apart. Susanoo's flaw is here. After Susan's armor was torn, his spine was exposed, and his defense was greatly reduced. Danzo seized the opportunity and flew towards Sasuke. Sasuke has already seen through Danzo's abacus. He has no passive defense anymore. He quickly forms seals with his hands. After taking a deep breath, he spews a flame from his mouth. But the target of Sasuke's attack was not Danzo, but the Dream Eater. In addition, the attraction of the Dream Eater made Sasuke's fireball faster and more violent. The unsuspecting Dream Eater quickly wiped out the fireball was inhaled into its mouth, and it was burned by the high-temperature flame of the Hao fireball. The entire huge mouth was spread by the fire, and a raging flame emerged, which made it miserable and let out a wailing, unable to maintain the strong suction. Using powerful suction to restrain Susanoo's movements, he also sucked into his mouth the arrogant fireball that Sasuke released unsuspectingly. After a whimper, it turned into a cloud of smoke and returned to the psychic world. Without the suppression of the Dream Eater, Sasuke's Susa regained his ability to move. Sasuke's eyes narrowed, and he controlled Susanoo to turn around and suddenly threw a punch at Danzo who was attacking him. It was too late, it was so fast. Danzo really didn't expect things to change so quickly. He wanted to stop his body, but his momentum just now was too strong, and it was too late to escape from Susa's attack range. Can only watch Susanoo's fist once again bombarded his body. Boom! There was another loud noise, and Danzo was directly blasted into the distance by Susa's fist, hitting a wall. The wall couldn't bear the force and collapsed, and Danzo was also buried by the collapsed rubble. After Sasuke completed a series of actions, he was also sweating profusely. He half-kneeled on the ground, panting violently, and consuming a lot of chakra made Susanoo on him almost unable to do anything. Maintaining his mature state, Susan's armor gradually faded, and he turned back into a bone-like Susanoo. Although the operation of Danzo was cracked, Sasuke knew that the matter was not over, so he did not relax his vigilance again. He looked around, searching for Danzo's figure. Using the attraction of the taper, and then releasing the fire ninjutsu. Well done. But it didn't work. As expected, Danzo's voice sounded again not far behind Sasuke. Sasuke slowly turned around, looked at Danzo, and said, "When the 10 writing wheel eyes in the right hand are closed, your art will be unlocked." Danzo was startled and said subconsciously, Do you actually know about Izanagi?" "Humph." Sasuke didn't answer, but controlled Susa to jump towards Danzo suddenly, swung his right fist, and hit Danzo's position, and Danzo naturally wouldn't sit still and jump to the others. He avoided Susan's attack, but Susanoo didn't only have one arm, so when Danzo jumped into the air and couldn't take advantage of it, Susan's left fist still swung out, knocking Danzo away again. "Go out. The battle has reached a fever pitch, and neither of them will stop, vowing to kill the person in front of them." Chapter 200. Sasuke's Calculation. After another fierce battle, Danzang's right-hand writing wheel closed one more eye. At this time, the two of them seemed to have reached their limit. Whether it was chakra or physical strength, they were almost exhausted. Sasuke has long known Izanagi's characteristics, so in order to let Danzo use Izanagi, and to reduce Izanagi's effective time, he has been attacking with the fastest and strongest Susanoo. Who will be exhausted first to fight against Danzo? At this time, the two looked at each other and did not shoot, because they knew that the next moment was a showdown. At this time, Danzang raised his right hand and saw the open writing wheel on the back of his hand. He couldn't help but secretly said, "Sasuke Uchiha. As expected of a genius, he was able to push me to this point, but it seems that you have reached the limit, and Izanagi still has the last minute left, then let's decide the winner in the next round." In fact, Danzo itself has hidden strength, that is his right eye, which was transplanted to his right eye after he captured Uchiha Shisui's right eye. Although it is only one, it is written in a kaleidoscope after all. The ability of the wheel eye is naturally not bad. It can be seen from the 5 shadows in the original book that he was able to silently control the general 3 ships of the Iron Country in front of the other 4 shadows and various powerhouses. But now, he didn't have the ability to use his right eye on Sasuke. At first, he felt that it was unnecessary, because now, Sasuke has reached his limit, and his Izanagi still has 1 minute left. In this minute he is invincible. Even if Sasuke Uchiha can struggle to the death, he will only die with him at most. However, after dying with Sasuke, he can rely on Izanagi to change his reality and resurrect. In this way, in the end, he's still won. Secondly, after using the ability of the right eye, it will take a long time to recover. Danzo is too cautious, unless it is a very critical moment, otherwise, he won't abuse the ability of his right eye. Speaking of which, Danzo still underestimates Sasuke. Humph. Seeing Danzo's actions, Sasuke seemed to feel a little anger, and with the last trace of chakra, it condensed into a long sword formed of thunder and lightning, and suddenly attacked Danzo. "How many Uchihas did you kill to get that right hand?" When Danzo saw this, he didn't dare to be negligent. He raised the kunai he held in his hand, took a deep breath, and blew the chakra of the wind escape attribute towards the kunai in his hand, condensing it into a wind blade, and then he also rushed towards Sasuke. As long as Izanagi's time has not passed, then he does not need to avoid deliberately at all. He wants to solve Uchiha Sasuke in the next moment. "I didn't kill it, it was Itachi." "That's what you forced him to do," Sasuke roared, and the two met each other in the blink of an eye, wielding their chakra blades at the same time and stabbing at each other. Very tacit understanding, the two of them did not defend or evade, and both seemed to have the idea of perishing with the person in front of them. There is no suspense. Sasuke's thunder blade pierced Danzo's chest, and he himself was also stabbed by Danzo's wind blade. At this moment, the two of them stood in the same place. Except for each other's violent breathing, they didn't do anything, and they kept this movement deadlocked. "You're in a hurry," My eyes are still open. Just go back to your father to be taught. I won. After a moment of gasp, the two of them regained some strength and Danzang couldn't help but said, revealing in his tone with a hint of complacency, do you think you've seen through Izanagi? However, Danzo's pride did not last long. After saying that, his face suddenly changed, his eyes were full of disbelief, and Sasuke in front of him showed a smile after he succeeded. What's the matter? Why didn't Izanagi start? Danzo was startled when he felt the flow of his vitality, and couldn't help but look at the writing wheel on his right arm. After a while, it should have been open to write the wheel. I didn't know when it was closed at this time. Seeing Sasuke's smile, Danzo immediately understood what was going on. You bastard! Wow! Knowing that he had been tricked, Danzo was naturally furious, but this aggravated his injury. A mouthful of blood spurted out, his vitality was rapidly draining, and his vision was blurred. It's you who is going to lose. Sasuke sneered, dissipating the thunder blade in his hand, and after taking a few steps back, he stimulated the wound with a thunderbolt to stop the bleeding. Damn .. Danzo roared reluctantly, trying hard to pounce on Sasuke again, but he was exhausted and finally fell to the ground. At this time, Sasuke had stopped bleeding, and his whole body had regained some strength, but he still looked very weak, and was panting violently, looking at Sasuke who was kneeling on the ground with contempt, and said disdainfully, as you said, yes, my illusion is indeed far inferior to Itachi. Compared with Itachi's moon reading, which can freely control the time of illusion, it is far from the world, but this short-lived and weak illusion, as long as it is used in the right place. Izanagi is the price of giving up the writing wheel. Yes, I can activate the spell for about 60 seconds, so I will attack continuously like suicide, just to make your writing wheel I wear out one after another, and I am a member of the Uchiha family, and I have a kaleidoscope writing wheel absolutely superior to you in terms of observation. During the battle with me, you checked the condition of the right arm's writing wheel several times, in order to judge Izanagi's unstable effect time, and before the final blow, the writing wheel eyes on your right arm are actually all closed, but just a moment before you found out, I cast an illusion on you, although it was only done to make you think it was still within the effective time of Izanagi to this extent, but this is enough, just because you have a wheel eye, you ignore the way of fighting against it. It is this conceit that leads to your failure. If this is a battle of eye dialogue, don't be underestimated. Look at Uchiha.